Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Legal Affairs meeting for Thursday, May 28th, 6:30 p.m. In attendance is myself as Chair, Councilor Rozignol, also Councilor Daigle, Councilor Hockman, Councilor Peach, and Councilor Turco. All others except for Council President are also in attendance. We have 4 items on the agenda. First one being tax title payment plan, brought to us by our Treasurer, Mr. Teitelbaum. I'd now ask Mr. Teitelbaum to come before us and explain what he's looking for. Thank you.
Hello, thank you very much. The new change in law, Mass General Law, Chapter 60, Section 62A, in order to have a payment plan, we need to change our ordinance to have that as a potential. So if anyone in tax title, we can have a payment plan. I sent in a rough draft of the ordinance that we're looking to do. There is a typo on section 11.35.3.1.2. It's a duplication of the one right below it. So the one above it for 1.2, I changed the wording to say shall include a down payment of 20% of the total outstanding bill. That is part of the law that we need to have in there. And then other than that, the pretty much states the same, the classification of how each parcel is called out and what's in the agreement. I have an example of one if you'd like to hear about an example of a payment plan.
Thank you. I'll open it up to the council first, and then if they want you to go through that, we'll go in that manner. Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I may come back for further questions, but I just had one initial question so that I could actually write this in through you to the Treasurer. You said section 11.35.3.1.2 you were making changes to, and can you direct me to exactly where you're going to make the change and what it is?
Yep. So you'll see it says currently reads the payment agreement shall include a waiver of up to 50% of the treasurer's interest that has accrued in tax title account, but only if the taxpayer complies with the terms of the agreement. So we're taking out from waiver to the agreement, the rest of that sentence, and then inserting in there include a down payment of 20% of the total outstanding.
Slow down just a bit. Slow down. I'm still crossing out waiver of up to 50% of the treasurer's interest that has accrued is being crossed out.
Yep, all the way through with the term of the agreement.
Okay, through with the term of the agreement, and then that's going to change to again.
Yep, include.
Okay.
A down payment.
Yep.
Of 20% of the total outstanding bill.
Okay, thank you so much.
Any further questions, Councilor Turco?
Not as of now. Thank you.
Councilor Hockman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to Treasurer Teitelbaum. Mr. Teitelbaum, you and I had a chance to talk earlier today about this. I just want to go through some of that conversation. And perhaps I'm looking at this a little too closely, but language matters, particularly when it comes to ordinances and statutes and things like that. We talked about paragraph 11.35.3.1.1, and you have it, or it's drafted as a term of 5 years, and we had a conversation of my preference to be a term of not more than 5 years, so that it could include anything up to 5 years. Can you explain why it is that you're using the 5-year term?
Yeah, so I reached out to a couple of treasurers around the area. Burlington is just going through this now. Their attorney and responses when they went to council stated that they need to be a definite one based on the AG's ruling right now. So they have now upgraded theirs to just state 5 years instead of saying up to 5 years. If somebody wants to pay it off faster, I will accept a faster payment plan. but the Attorney General makes us state a year, so I can't go up, 5 years is the farthest I want to go out. Don't want to look at a 10-year or anything longer than that, but give people up to 5 years to help them get their taxes back in line.
Councilor Hockman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Titlebaum. And similarly, for the language that you just talked to us about for paragraph 11.35.3.1.2, where you talked about a down payment of 20%, I asked for it to be not less than 20%, so that if somebody wanted to put more money down, and you would have the similar response, right, as to why you're using that language?
Yep, that's the same thing that the Attorney General doesn't want us to be vague. So if you want to pay more, it'll make your monthly payments less, just like a normal mortgage on a house. The more you put down up front, the less your monthly payments will be over the time.
Councilor Hockman.
Thank you. I have a few more. Yeah, thank you. So, but I think we did find some common ground in paragraph 11.35.3.1.3. I didn't know what treasurer's interest was or collector's interest, and I think you were going to further define that within this ordinance.
Yep, so treasurer's interest is interest that's after you go into tax title. The difference would be the collector, if you are in current year, there's interest there that I'm not going to touch. It's anything that you have accrued over the period. It's going to be new interest that will be occurring, so it's not, right now the interest rate for new tax title is 8%. Anyone who's been in tax title prior to this change, not from us, but the Mass General Law, Chapter 60, Section 62A, is still at 16% interest. So we'll be able to lower that number down to up to 50% if we want to. It's on a case-by-case basis, though.
Councilor Hockman.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. However, we're going to put some of that language in the ordinance as you give us a final draft at some point, correct?
Yep, I will update that with the other updates that you might have.
And then we talked about in paragraph 11.35.3.1.4, you have you define what, if a scheduled payment isn't received, it's deemed late, and you have 3 days there, and we talked about calendar days as opposed to business days as opposed to other types of days, and I don't know where you fell in that. I don't want a situation, or I'd prefer not to have a situation where a payment's due on a Friday, City Hall's closed on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday's a holiday, and then on Tuesday, they're deemed, the homeowner is deemed in default, and the agreement that may be there 4 years into somehow crumbles.
Yep, if you guys want to make a recommendation, business days, more days, I'm more than happy to amend however you guys see fit.
Councilor Hockman.
Thank you. If I may, I think your intent here is business days. I think it's designed to give, situations arise where people aren't able to maybe physically be here, because I think these payments are only in person or through the mail. They're not electronic. Is that right?
Yep, so for tax title, you cannot make an electronic payment.
Yeah.
You have to physically send a check in or come into my office. Payment is when you physically give us. So if we send it in the mail, even if you date it for Friday and it doesn't come until Tuesday, technically speaking, that payment came in on Tuesday.
Yeah, so under those circumstances, I'd respectfully ask that we use it as 3 business days.
Okay, no problem there.
Councilor Hockman.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Mr. Treasurer.
Before we moved on to any councilors, I know Councilor Daigle, you have your hand up. Councilor Hockman, towards the end of this, any amendments that you'd like to make, I would happily entertain those as a final draft that we can then propose to the committee as a whole. With that said, Councilor Daigle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the treasurer, and I think Mr. Hockman addressed most of these questions. I was going to point out the interest rate through tax title is 16%, correct?
It is now 8% for anyone prior. So we're doing another round of tax taking right now. So anyone who's already in tax title as of today is 16%. Any subsequents will still be at 16%. Any new ones that we have to take going forward will all be done at 8%.
So we're going, I know this isn't you, we're going down on interest rates.
Yes, so currently speaking, we didn't do any tax takings last year due to the collector's interest rate being 12%. And with the law change, we have to go out, post on people's doors, and we were waiting for other cities and towns to go through that. But we also were able to get more people to pay in the year. But going forward, when we're going to do this round, we'll have a group come in at 8%. So we're going to have two different interest rates for people in back taxes, based on the new guidance from the state.
Okay, I thank the state for that guidance. For people that don't have this in front of them, the section I'm referring to says the payment agreement shall include a waiver of up to 50% of the treasurer's interest that is accrued in the tax title account, but only if the taxpayer complies with the terms of the agreement. Is that under the treasurer's discretion of up to 50%? You decide that amount?
It will be, it'll be part of the agreement up front when we do calculations out of what it is. And then I'll meet with the mayor and Mike before we sign anything and go to final agreements with any of the taxpayers.
Fantastic, thank you. I know I can, from experience, speak to prior payment agreements that they were like scribbled on napkins and very informal, and they were hard to enforce. So I think putting some teeth on this, I applaud you. I know it's not easy up front, but I think in the long run, your collections will be better. So thank you, Mr. Treasurer. I'm all set.
Thank you, Councilor Daigle. Councilor Turco.
Thank you for coming back to me, Mr. Chairman. I guess just of my own curiosity, so I could be more in tune with what's going on in our city. How many people are in tax title right now, and how many people are in arrears on their taxes as of right now, not in tax title? Do we have a rough number on that?
Yep, so currently speaking, there's 94 parcels in the city that are in tax title. That comes out to about 2.3 million. Of that, that's about an average of $25,000 per parcel. So far this year, we're averaging about $10,000 in collections each week in back taxes. Hopefully, within the next 2 weeks, I'll be at about $550,000 in back taxes collected for this fiscal year. I don't have the number for how many actual parcels there are in the city, but only 94 technically right now are in tax title, which is back taxes.
Thank you for that. If there's no further questions from the council, I'll be prepared to move forward with a motion.
Any further questions from the members? Any further questions from the entire council? Seeing none, Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Move to adopt and advertise Section 11.35 Tax Title Payment Plan, 11.35.1 Purpose. Pursuant to provisions of General Law, Chapter 60, Section 62A, the Treasurer shall have the authority to enter into written payment agreements with persons entitled to redeem parcels in tax title. The payment agreement shall be executed on such terms and conditions for payment of the delinquent taxes, interest, and any other costs, fees, or charges associated with same in accordance with General Law, Chapter 60, Section 62A, and this bylaw. 11.35.2 types of parcels, 11.35.2.1 such agreements and waivers shall apply uniformly for classes of tax titles defined herein as follows. 11.35.2.1.1 commercial property.
Councilor Turco, if you'd like to just state the first one and then the heading, and then I'll do this during the regular meeting to save you some time.
Perfect. So we're on Section 11.35.2 types of parcels. Commercial property, residential property, industrial property, and open space. Section 11.35.3 term of agreement. All payment agreements shall comply with the following minimum requirements. The payment agreement shall be for the term of 5 years, provided, however, that nothing herein shall preclude the taxpayer from completing payments of the amount owed within a shorter period of time. The payment agreement shall include a down payment of 20% of the total outstanding bill. However, no taxes, collectors' interest, or fees may be waived in any payment agreement. The next section, with the changes from Councilor Hockman, the payment agreement shall include a waiver of up to 50% of the interest assessed by the city treasurer that has accrued in the tax title account, but only if the taxpayer complies with the terms of the agreement. However, no taxes, interest, no taxes, interest assessed by the city collector or fees may be waived in any payment agreement. Next section, in the event that any scheduled payment is not received by the due date, the payment shall be considered late if a payment remains unpaid for a period of 3 business days after its due date, and that is a change, by the way, or if the payer fails to make more than 3 scheduled payments, whether consecutive or non-consecutive, the treasurer reserves the right to declare the payer in default of this agreement. Upon such default, the treasurer may terminate this agreement immediately and declare the entire remaining unpaid balance due and payable in full. The treasurer may also pursue any and all remedies available under applicable law to recover the outstanding balance. Proceedings. During the term of the agreement, the treasurer may not bring an action to foreclose the tax title unless payments are not made in accordance with the schedule set out in the payment agreement, or timely payments are not made on other amounts due to the city that are in lien on the same parcel. So moved.
You heard the motion. Discussion on the motion. Councilor Peach.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to Councilor Turco. Did you change the first section we changed with the 20% down payment?
I did. I know my reading was probably a little monotone, but yes, section 11.35.3.1.2, I deleted that one sentence and included down payment of 20% of the total outstanding bill.
Thanks.
Any further questions? Councilor Hockman.
Just 2 quick things. First, I don't think it's a bylaw. I think it's an ordinance.
Ordinance.
And secondly, the language that we changed in paragraph 11.35.3.1.3 regarding how we define collector's interest and treasurer's interest should carry into paragraph 11.35.3.1.2 so that it's consistent. We can do that at the regular meeting.
Perfect. On the motion.
So moved with the additional 2 changes by Councilor Hockman.
You heard the motion. Any further discussion? Councilor Peach.
Thank you. Through you to Councilor Hockman. What were the changes that you made? Sorry,
So in paragraph 11.35.3.1.3, I requested, and Councilor Turco's motion included, removing treasurer's interest and inserting interest assessed by the city treasurer, and also removing collector's interest and inserting interest assessed by the city collector.
okay, thank you. Sorry, normally we do this in separate motions, so I'm trying to keep up.
No worries. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Councilors Daigle,
Yes.
Hockman,
Yes.
Turco,
Yes.
Peach,
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, guys.
Next item on the legal affairs agenda is mattresses and the discussion regarding disposal. This is brought forth by Councilor Gamache. I'll now yield to Councilor Gamache to give us a little overview of the reasoning for this being brought forward.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Councilor Rozignol. This motion was brought to my attention when I was at the Public Works Department, taking down some brush, and there were a bunch of mattresses being dumped in the container that we have down there. And after speaking with the operator at the garage, I was told that sometimes people come in with 10 mattresses at a time, but as long as they have stickers on them, they have to accept them. Well, our fee for dropping off a box spring or a mattress is $20 for the local residents. So what these people are doing is they're getting people to give them the mattresses. They're charging those people for a pickup of upwards of $100, and they're going downtown or to the library or to DPW, wherever they get the stickers, getting the stickers with the resident's address for $20, but they're charging them $75, $100. So they're making considerable amounts of money by picking up these mattresses and box springs. Because Peabody's, the perception is $20 a mattress is cheap compared to Beverly and Salem, which are now $40 and $50. So I researched the Salem and Beverly ordinances that they have, and they have two companies that come in and pick them up at the door. And they charge either $40 or $50. And I wanted to try to, the city spent over $59,000 last year on mattresses and box springs. So what I'm proposing is to change the way we work things. I've asked community development to take the ordinances in Salem and Beverly, review those, come up with an ordinance that would be suitable to Peabody, that would have private pickup, pick those up at the resident's address, and also increase our fee to $40 if the resident so desires to still take it down to Farm Ave. So that's what's before us tonight. I'm looking to try to save as much cost as we can, and I didn't think it was close to $60,000 last year, so that's why I brought it up and put in committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Gamache. Before I go to the council, I entertain a motion to receive item 8H and submit to this. You heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Again, before I go to the council, I just want to reemphasize that this is another unfunded mandate by the state that is imposed on the city and town that we now get to spend over $60,000 in trying to correct. With that said, I'll open up the proposal to the council. Councilor Peach.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the clerk, so someone in your office might know this. Can you just pick up a sticker without showing your ID to prove, or Councilor Gamache just stated that, they'd pick it up for the person and then they'd come get a sticker. Were you misspeaking? Because I'd assume you need to show your ID.
Just for clarification, what's happening is a Peabody resident is going down, showing their ID to pick up a sticker, going to another resident, charging them $100 for a pickup fee, but then only paying $20 to drop off said mattress. And they're doing this almost as an independent business.
And we don't have a limit on how many
No.
stickers each resident can get?
Correct.
We might want to start there, too, so.
That we can certainly add that as another condition. The downside with something along those lines, and I don't want to get into a back and forth, you have multifamilies, so that might be a slippery slope in the beginning.
Yeah, I think if we did something like a large number, it could be a large number, but to run a business, if it's a hindrance to you trying to run a business, if it's 20 per address or something like that in a year, which I think is a pretty reasonable number, but we can discuss that further at another time. But I'd love to know, and I don't know if DPS could give us this information, but it may have cost us $60,000 to get rid of these mattresses, but I'd love to know how much it's cost us to go pick them up on the side of the road, because that's a whole nother cost. And I mean, I think I send at least 2-3 emails a week about mattresses out front. And I know sometimes residents are fined and they get them removed, and other times it's just in no man's land and the city's just picking it up. So we got to figure out something. So thank you, Councilor Gamache.
Thank you, Councilor Peach. I'll stick with committee members and then move on to the general counsel. Councilor Turco.
Yeah, I just want to thank Councilor Gamache. This has become a huge issue. To Councilor Peach's point, I try to keep track as I'm driving through Peabody where I see them, and it's become so daunting at this point. I actually sometimes feel guilty when I try to call them in as I see them, and oftentimes there's the one guy that's working DPW at night, and that poor guy's got to go out there and pick up a queen or a king mattress, and 99% of the time they do it. So I appreciate that, but it's out of control, and I think this is just a first step, to be honest with you. I think this is going to continue, and we're going to have to make further changes to this as we go on. I'm not even quite sure that doubling this fee to $40 will still cover our cost at this point. As Councilor Peach said, it's the unknown cost of the amount of mattresses that we pick up throughout the city, the time spent every day. It's unfortunate that it was just kind of put out there like this, but here we are. But thank you, Counselor.
Thank you, Councilor Turco. Councilor Daigle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Councilor Gamache, for bringing this forward. And to Councilor Turco's point, I don't know what the cost, not to mention, and to Councilor Peach's point, not to mention the ones that have been dumped on the side of the road, but I was told by DPS at some point in time that we had some kind of grant or outside funding that was offsetting the $20 fee. It was actually costing a lot more than that. And I don't know if that's still happening or if that ran out, but I think we're definitely losing money at this point. So I appreciate that we don't want to go up on things, but this is proactive and we shouldn't be losing money. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Daigle. Councilor Ladoff.
Through you to the clerk, I had a question in regards to, I've had a lot of phone calls from landlords, and landlords were saying they weren't able to get a sticker for mattresses. Like they own a home or multifamily in Peabody, however, they were having resistance when dropping it off. Can you clarify for me, can they show something on like that their tax bill to get the sticker, or if you don't have an address in Peabody, they can't, as far as a landlord would go?
So our process is to sell them a sticker and tell them that they need to show ID when they show up at DPS to drop off the sticker. And the ID has to show that they have a Peabody address.
I would just say that's something to consider, helping out the landlords, because I had one landlord that had about 4 mattresses and he didn't know what to do, and it was quite a costly expense. And so it's something to consider when we have a policy. And also, as we were talking about, like the additional fee, the new fee to be 40, I think the convenience of paying an additional fee, like even if it was a break-even fee, for the convenience of picking up, the average person can't put a mattress to get to the dump or something. So I have paid someone to come pick up to drop it off for me, and it's been a lot before. So it's something to consider.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments from the council? Seeing none, what is the will of the council? Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of Councilor Gamache, I'm going to make 2 motions. One is the motion to have Community Development review the Salem and Beverly mattress and box spring ordinances, and specifically to seek the services of either Tough Stuff or UTEC to provide curbside pickup for residents or similar companies. So moved.
You heard the motion.
Let me continue on that. There's a last sentence on that motion. Peabody residents can still bring their mattress and box springs to 50 Farm Ave with a sticker. So moved.
You heard the motion by Councilor Turco. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councilor Turco.
Second motion is to change the current fee from $20 to $40 immediately upon signature of the mayor and/or as soon as allowable by law. So moved.
You heard the motion by Councilor Turco. On the motion, Councilor
Just a
Lovell.
question, point of clarity. As I was looking up some information on this, most municipalities consider the mattress and box spring a separate unit. Is that something we want to include here for residents not to be confused if they show up with a box spring and a mattress and then realize they only have one sticker? Should we maybe include that language?
Just for clarification, according to the city clerk, upon attempt to get the sticker, they're told that they're each individual items.
Great, thanks.
Any further questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Next item on the agenda is 190 Rear, AKA 194 Newbury Street. A resident who is in attendance, who I will entertain to speak in a moment, put in a request for us to look at whether a development, in this instance, condo development, could then later be turned into apartments. We, in turn, as a group, sent that request to the city solicitor, and his response was, according to state law, they can. So there is no jurisdiction for this council, at least in Attorney Khan's opinion, and mine for that matter, that we have the authority to then go to the developer to try to turn it back into condos. But I'm obviously not an attorney. Attorney Khan is here and present, and as well as Audrey Gordon. So at this moment, I would actually ask Ms. Gordon if you want to come up, state your name and address for the council, and just, if I didn't do a good enough synopsis, please let us know why you're here. Thank you.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you so much, and I want to thank you all and Attorney Khan for looking into this matter further. It's not the result I had hoped. At first, I thought I was upset because I thought it could have been a special permit condition, and I understand even that wouldn't have done it. But I guess no good deed goes unpunished. We supported this project with that, under that assumption, and this council was very specific in all of the hearings, asking about that, and really relied on that statement to is one reason why they approved the special permit. So I guess I would just say beware next time, and if this does come up again, if there's any way to, maybe Attorney Khan can come up with a way that you can, as the city can enforce condos, if that's what you're relying on in order to give a special permit, because we're right there. It's a big, huge building, and it was one of the reasons, like I said, that we supported it, and now they don't really care. We actually found out about this by accident. So we would have been very surprised in a little while. So anyways, I do want to thank you all for looking into it, and I don't really know if does anybody have any ideas of things that we might be able to do in order to make this process a little easier, and or somehow rectify, or I don't know.
The one thing I would say is, if there's, through the process of the build-out, if there's anything that they're doing that does not go to the building codes as far as hours of operation, trucks, things like that, do not hesitate to either call one or all of us or the building department, and they should be right on top of that.
Thank you. I get your number, Dave.
I'll now open it up to any other councilors. I'll start with Councilor Hockman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and welcome, Mr. and Mrs. Gordon, to City Council tonight. I read Attorney Khan, I wasn't on the council when this whole process was taking place, but I read through the transcripts and the documents that we were provided, and I read through Attorney Khan's memorandum identifying the CHR case from the SJC, which is a 1982 case, and frankly, I think the SJC got it wrong, but it's the law, right? They're the highest court in our state, and that's the law, and I fortuitously had a chance to talk to Attorney Khan on the way in tonight, and he tells me that this is still the precedent. This hasn't been challenged. But, I want to talk a little, and I come from a background where I used to look up to a guy named Jack Kemp. And Jack Kemp was a senator from New York State, and he was a football player in Buffalo and played college ball in California. And Jack Kemp was also the commissioner of Housing and Urban Development, I think, in the Reagan administration. And Jack Kemp talked about the differences between ownership and renting, and how people treat property differently when they own property as compared to when they rent property. And that's primarily what I fall back on when I think the SJC got it wrong. And, one of Jack Kemp's wishes, I think, during the course of his career was to actually give public housing to the residents of the unit, because public housing historically in the United States is, less than adequate, and it's less than adequate in good part because of the manner in which people don't take care of their property when they live in public housing. And Jack Kemp's philosophy was that if you owned that property, you would take better care of it. And I think that's exactly what is happening in this development. There's a big difference between someone that's renting and maybe living there for a year because they need a place to stay due to life circumstances, and someone that intends on owning a property that they have to sell at some point and maintaining it in that manner. So I feel for you because, I agree with you that there's a difference. Unfortunately, it looks like our hands are tied, or at least we would engage in a lawsuit that we'd probably lose at taxpayers' expense. But I do at least want to publicly acknowledge that I think you're right.
Yeah, well, thank you, Councilor Hartman. And, my husband, Rich Reed, and I agree. That was the reasoning behind the condos versus apartments. And I can't tell you how many times we were told, whatever you want, absolutely condos. So if somebody else comes and sits up here and speaks in favor of a development that's right, because they're in a butter and they have that right, I would hope that you all would let them know that there's no guarantees.
Everything's got to be in writing right
Yeah, so
Thank you.
maybe the next person will benefit from this experience.
Councilor Hockman.
Thank you. And I want to respond to your question, if we have any thoughts or ideas what we can do to change this. The state legislature has the right, has the responsibility, I think, to enact legislation when they think the SJC got it wrong. Treasurer Teitelbaum was before us a few minutes ago with some tax title issues, and that is a direct result of a Supreme Court case, Tyler versus Hennepin County, and the changes that take place in tax title. So I think if you maybe went to our state delegation and talked to them about enacting a statute that maybe would change what the SJC ruled in this 82 case. I don't know if it's retroactive. I don't know if it's going to help you.
I was just thinking that.
But
Yeah, could you
maybe
apply
it helps
retroactively?
us as a city in the future, and maybe it helps other people in the future.
Okay, I'll get on that in my
Thank
spare
you.
time.
Any further councilors? Councilor Turco.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, Audrey, it's not just you. We were kind of taken aback by this also. We have several, more than several 40Bs that were approved, some with conditions that they be condominiums, and that's the way we wanted it to be. I'm not as cynical about renters, no offense, Councilor Hockman. I think, I have renters, and they're very good. But I think as a path to home ownership, condos make sense for our young people, and that's why I support them in most cases. And I wonder, and I guess this is a question through you, Mr. Chairman, that I'll ask of Mr. Khan, or Attorney Khan, is where does this put us with some of the projects that we have dictated must be condominiums under 40B? I'm not sure if those are held separately under separate guidelines. And Audrey, if you have any further questions, I don't mean to interrupt your time at the podium, so I could wait on that question to Attorney Khan, but I did want to ask that.
Attorney Khan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Your question, Councilor Turco, was whether this reasoning would apply to a 40B.
Yeah, obviously, we base our SHI on the number of apartments that we approve, I'll just say it, the housing inventory we base on how many apartments we approve, but in some neighborhoods, we have approved condominiums, and I know that some of those developers really didn't want condominiums, but they agreed because that's what we pushed for.
Yep.
So as far as 40Bs in and of themselves, does this jeopardize any of those 40B agreements that we've made throughout the last 3 years?
To be absolutely honest with you, I don't know the answer to that. 40B relaxes a lot of zoning and legal requirements. I'm happy to take a look at the 40B statute and report back to the committee as to whether I think that this reasoning applies to a 40B.
Yeah, and I asked that only if I wouldn't ask that on a what-if scenario, but there actually is a developer currently that would like to change from condominiums to apartments. So I seeing this come before us made me a bit nervous whether that allows that developer to do so, and that was an approved 40B.
Yep, I'll be happy to look into that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilor Turco. Any further questions? Councilor Latoff.
I just want to make a statement as someone who was only able to afford to buy my own home 12 years ago. I'm someone who was a proud renter for many years. And just hearing some people talk the language of renters versus homeowner feels a little offensive. And I just know there's a lot of proud people in our community, especially. It's so hard to buy a home and even to buy a condo. And the average age for the first time homeowner right now is 40. So I think having those opportunities is all about having the quality of an applicant. Those people who rent homes are people who contribute to downtown in our business community. They help out at school, they help out on PTO, and they raise their families and build a community, and they're part of us. So I think we need to consider that as well, and just that language fell off to me, but I understand what you're saying in some cases. It's really the quality of the applicant.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Welton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Couldn't agree with you more, Councilor Latoff. Very well said. I think in this situation, I'd be curious to, as Councilor Turco had mentioned, the impact on the 40B stipulations that we have for this particular project. And also, thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Gordon, for coming in. It's pretty clear. If you read the transcripts, it's, I forget what, page 19, former Councilor Shress on line 21 said, these will be condos, not apartments, correct? And yes, that's correct. So I think my issue is more that it was misleading from the developer standpoint. The rates for rentals right now are not too dissimilar to when I purchased my home, my mortgage rate. Things have changed. It's very difficult. We want to attract younger folks to live here in Peabody and raise their families here, and this is an entry point for many of them. So I don't have an issue with that. I have more of an issue with how it was presented to the residents, and seems maybe the intent was to try to maximize how much they could get out of the property, which I understand that's what developers will do, but appreciate you bringing this to our attention, because I think going forward we'll certainly have a lot more questions with this. But as Councilor Turco had mentioned, I'd like to hear the implications on the 40B as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Welton. Councilor Cuervo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just going to second what Councilor Latoff said. I think, we have a lot of people who rent in this community. I live on a street with people who rent and some people who own, and some people who rent treat their property much better than the people who own. I'm a landlord. My tenants for the past decade have always treated my units with respect. I've never had an issue, and I think it's an unfair judgment.
Any further questions or comments from the council? Seeing none, my recommendation would be just to dispose of this matter from Legal Affairs.
I don't think we need a motion on that. I think we just let it go, right? Correct?
Yep. Last item on the agenda is the Peabody Independence Greenway Extension easement. Before I go to you, Mr. Bellavance, I just want to thank the Gordons for coming before us. Mr. Bellavance.
Good evening. Kurt Bellavance, Community Development Director for the City of Peabody. Before you this evening is the final step for what we're calling Phase 2 of the bike path. As some of the board, some of the council may remember, we were before you last year.
Kurt, one moment. I'd entertain a motion to receive item 8L.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
You heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. I'm sorry.
Nope, thank you.
Mr. Bellavance.
As many of you know, we were here last year for the Phase 1 of the bike path extension. That project is currently under construction. Leads from Leahy Clinic to Endicott Street. And that's probably expected to wrap up next year. So in a little over a year from now, that should be complete. But this is the next phase, which we're looking to connect Lieutenant Ross Park to the Peabody Road terminus. So in between that happens to be Route 1 and 95. So this project took some time to put together. We actually applied to the state to get onto their TIP list, which is the Transportation Improvement Program, which funds transportation projects. We did that in August of 2019. We've been working on the plan since then. We've had 3 different grants as part of the design work, and also used community preservation funding to help design the project. The goal is to complete that, which has been done. We submit that to MassDOT for approval. They're the ones who are constructing the project, so they need to approve the plans. So we've been working closely with them for several years now to get that completed. They've approved the plans, which allows us to finalize the right-of-ways. So I work with the Right-of-Way Bureau in regards to getting 17 easements along the bike path route. There are 13 temporary easements. So it's my understanding, if a contractor puts a shovel on your land, we need to have an easement on that property. So some of the easements are small, some of them are large. As I said, we have 4 permanent easements. One of those is along the bridge abutment. So not sure if everybody knows, we're going to be building a bridge over Route 1. So as that ramps down onto 215 Newberry, which is commonly referred to as the Hallmark Building, we need a sliver of land for clearance for the bridge. So that's one of the permanent easements that we're looking to obtain. 2 other easements are part of drainage along the bike path trail, which leads to the connection of Peabody Road. Those are basically there for drainage. Both those small easements are about 150 square feet. That's just to handle drainage, because between the bike path and the property owners' homes is the Proctor Brook. So most of that work is being done, or all that work's being done on the opposite side of the people's property and on the Proctor Brook side of that. And then the last permanent easement that we're looking to take is roughly 28,000 square feet. That is a back portion of the cemetery that's located on Lowell Street, roughly 420 Lowell Street. There's a back piece of property where the Proctor Brook headwaters are, and there's some wetlands in that area. Part of the length of this project being designed is the trying to figure out how to cross over the Proctor Brook with 95 abutment there. So what we ended up doing is doing a footbridge that's similar to the one if you play the Meadows Golf Course that goes over the wetland area. But in order to put that bridge up there, we had to take a permanent easement on that property. We've been working closely with the cemetery. As part of that process is permitting, and we needed to go to DEP and also the Army Corps of Engineers to get a waterways permit. And we could not move forward with that without the cemetery signing on board. So we've been in constant communication with them for this entire time of the project. So the last phase is for the city to take these easements to allow us to move forward with the bike path project. The final step, if the council chooses to take that motion, is that we would certify the votes. We would send offer letters to the property owners to the fee that we would pay them for their easement, and then file them with the paperwork necessary. If you don't have a mortgage, you can come in with a W-2 and we can give you a check. If you have a mortgage, you need approval from your mortgage company. So similar to last year, when we did the other bike path, I believe we had about 13 easements. 2 people have come in so far to get paid. The other 11 have not. So we're still waiting. We've worked with the auditing to make sure that money's there in case they come in at any time. So the next step here would be the vote. We would have the offer letter go to the residents, and then we can record the plans and the easements. Then that gets certified by MassDOT, and then they're allowed to advertise the project. One other reason that the project was delayed was because the cost had increased for the project, and they wanted the city to redesign that to cut costs. We said no, because most of the changes were MassDOT changes, so we felt we didn't want to pay to engineer it over again for the things they wanted us to do. So we asked for an amendment, and we received an amendment in March for $3.5 million. So the total cost of the project is estimated to be $19.5 million. That's money is money that goes through the MPO. Every state has a metropolitan planning organization. They're the conduit that takes federal tax dollars, your gas tax and other fees, and then they're able to spend that money within the state as long as you fit in certain categories. Bike paths do fit in that category. We understood the funding was available, so we took advantage of that to have them fund. But we have to go through this whole process in order for them to construct and pay for the project. So the advertising date for this project is set for August 3rd. If that moves forward, we would probably have a contractor on board by mid-October, and then we would start to have our pre-construction meeting and mobilization possibly in the fall. We thought that was going to happen last year. The winter was a little rough, so that got delayed, that project. But hopefully next year at this time, they'll be underway building that project. So I'm happy to answer any questions you have in regard to the easements and the order. And Don Kahn is here as well. There are 4 items that we're looking to have the board council vote on. It's the order of taking for the easements. There are 3 easements that MassDOT is giving to the city because the bike path will be on MassDOT property. So we'll have easements from MassDOT to allow us to do that. The other item is the MBTA lease. We have a lease in place from 2011. The MBT is going through the whole process of updating their lease agreements on their abandoned rails with all the cities and towns that have these projects. And then the final one is the, what was the last one? One, two, three, I think that was it. Yes, I think that was the last one. And we've been working closely with Don and Liz Lashway, as well as outside counsel Kopelman and Page. They worked on the last bike path project for us, as well as the Central Street project in regards to the takings for that project as well. So I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Belvance. I'll now open it up to the councilors for questions. Councilor Hockman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to Mr. Bellavance. You're asking us to approve awards for easements, monetary awards to homeowners or property owners, and we're going to be going through a pretty tough budget cycle. If we were to postpone this project and these payments, would we be jeopardizing any grant money or any state or federal money that might walk away?
That would be likely. As I said before, the project was delayed twice already. Fortunately, one time it worked in the favor of dollars, and then the state wanted to spend the money in the next year, so that worked out. This year, the money is lined up and ready to go for us. I can't say what would happen if they wanted to bump us into a following year. We could lose that money. I know the last project was in jeopardy, and we had to really push that through as well to make sure. You have I'm not sure the size of the MPO region. It's roughly 100 communities looking to use these federal dollars. So this project's lined up. They do usually have projects lined up if projects don't move forward, and so they have them come in and sort of scoop in and take the money. So we're in line, the money's there, and it's our opportunity now to take advantage of that.
Thank you, Councilor Hockman. Councilor Peach.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to Mr. Bellavance. You talked about how, like, the total cost of this project. Do you have just a rough estimate? We hear, I mean, I'm getting calls about the budget and the cuts and fees, and can you just explain? I know we've had conversations so that I could understand it, but like how much of this money is truly being paid for out of our general fund and how much of it is paid for by grants? Because I get a lot of, why are we building a bike path and not paving this street? And I try to explain that, well, there's grants for bike paths and not really grants for paving streets. So if you could speak to that cost and where, like, this approval is to advertise the amount that we would provide to them, but there's no, like, transfer of funds occurring yet. And, like, we would, that money, I know we've done it in finance for other ones in the past, once they get approved. And so can you just explain that for the public a little bit? Thank you.
Mr. Bellavance.
Yes, absolutely. For this particular project, as with other projects, typically we'll get grant money to start the process. In our field, it's you get money for planning, it looks good. You get money for feasibility, looks good. Then you get money to move forward. In this case, we used funding from Solomon Foundation, which was a grant. We had 3 Mass Trails grants. Those were approximately $1.5 million. And then we used transportation enhancement funds. So every year, the city gets, and it ranges in dollars, and I guess it's called an enhancement fund. So if you take an Uber or a Lyft from Peabody, there's a tax, and that money comes back to the city of Peabody. But that has to be used on specific transportation-related projects. So we used some of that money, and then we also used community preservation funds. So it was probably, this project was probably a 50-50 of grant money and community preservation funds. And community preservation can be spent on historic preservation, open space and recreation, and affordable housing. So we would fall into that category in regards to open space and recreation. So we use that dollar, and that's a separate tax on property tax that goes into that fund that can only be used for those certain things. I've heard as well about, why don't we pave more roads, and it's a different bucket we're pulling from, essentially. Our job is, we have dozens of grants that come across our desk all the time, and it's our job to analyze those and see where we can fit those in. So when we know money's available to do that, we take advantage of that. In this case, we use it for the bike path project. As I said before, what our responsibility is to design that and work with MassDOT in regards to meeting their standards, and then they construct it. So the estimated cost, as I said before, is $19.5 million. So that's going to be, it'll be state and federal money for that. So we know that money's available. We use money for that for Central Street project as well. So that's a good, it's a good bucket to target when you can. You have to meet certain criteria, and you have to make sure you dot all your I's and cross your T's, and make sure you meet the MassDOT standards, which is somewhat cumbersome, but it's, I don't want to say it's free money because we're all paying for it, but it's still $19.5 million that could have gone to another community that's coming to our community. So hope that explained it.
Thank you, Mr. Bellavance. No, I think that was great. I think it's important that we try to educate the public on public money and how it comes in buckets. And we don't have to agree on that there's a ton of money for bike paths and river walks, but the federal government loves to throw money at that. So I want people to understand that we're not cutting teachers so we can build a bike path. They're 2 very different sets of money, and we don't have control over the bike path money, except for we apply for it and they give it to us to build a bike path. So I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
And we're spending more money on the Riverwalk, so in that we've already got at least 2 grants for $7 million for that. So hopefully we'll get more.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Peach. Councilor Checo. And then Councilor Welton.
Thank you, and thank you to Councilor Peach for getting that clarification, because I'm sure it's going to come up. So with that, through you, Mr. Chairman, to Mr. Bellavance, Kurt, it's back to Councilor Hockman's point about the money. Didn't we already approve? We already approved the funding for this, correct? You're not looking for any additional funding. The 221,000 has already been approved, if I'm not mistaken, in the past.
I believe there was a transfer request done. I'm not sure if that took place already.
Yeah, I thought we did that a few weeks back, so
Okay.
that's already been completed. So then this is just the ask to utilize the money at this point, from this point on.
Yes.
Okay. If there's no further questions from the council, there are. Sorry, I'll defer.
Councilor Welton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Mr. Bellavance. Thank you for the presentation. Again, thanks for clarifying, and Councilor Peach, thanks for asking that question, because I know many constituents are going to have that same thought. Mr. Bellavance, you had mentioned that we have, I believe you said, 11 easement requests that have not been, that have not fully materialized, so we're carrying that as a potential liability from the city. Two questions on that. First, if you could give us a ballpark of how much it is, and the second question would be, going forward for the second phase, is there a way that we're allowed to put a time limit on, if you're going to file an easement, if you're going to file with the city for reimbursement for your easement, you have 6 months to do so or whatever? Because I'm sure it would be helpful from a budgeting perspective for you as well to get that off the books as soon as we could. So I guess the total, and is there a chance to tighten that process up going forward? Thank you.
Well, in regards to the last phase of the project, it was the funding was $186,000. We have paid out 18,000 out of that. The big item for that was North Shore Mall, because we're taking a large piece of their property along Essex Drive for that. I did ask MassDOT that. I said, we still haven't had people come in, what do we do with this money? They said, we have to give it to MassDOT. So I'm not going to bring it up with them again, because I don't think we're going to do that. So, but I'll have to talk with the auditors to see how long we're supposed to keep that on the books and hold on to that. One of the properties is unknown owner. We believe it was property that was a sliver of land when they built 95, and that piece was kind of left remaining. But we still had to appraise that, and we still have to vote on that. But we don't believe anybody will ever be coming in to ask for that money. So that's really why I wanted to know, because I don't suspect anybody ever coming in for that money, so it should go somewhere after a certain time period. But I want to try to work on that without bringing that up to MassDOT again. So we'll see if we can get a better answer for you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilor Welton. Attorney Khan.
Just to follow up on what Mr. Bellavance said, anytime that we make a taking of property, people who are dissatisfied with the amount that we're taking the property for have a right to sue us on an eminent domain case. So we can't deplete this money until we make sure that all of the potential claims are gone. Somebody could come in and say, you're giving me $5,000, I think the property you're taking is worth $25,000, and they could go to Superior Court. And I don't know off the top of my head what the statute of limitations is on an eminent domain case as I sit here, but I can check that out. I believe it's 3 years, but I can double check that. So a homeowner has 3 years within, I believe, within which they can come in and contest the amount that they're paid. And we're not giving the money back to MassDOT.
Thank you, Attorney Khan. Any further questions from the council? Seeing none, Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make the motion. Be it ordered by the City Council as follows. 1, to approve the order of taking substantially in the form presented to this council, affecting those properties listed in Schedule A of the order of taking and shown on plans entitled Easement Plan to Independence Greenway, Lowell Street, and Peabody, dated April 16, 2026, and further to approve payment in the amount of $221,000 in accordance with the damages awards set forth in Schedule B of the order of taking as compensation for the acquisition of the property interests. 2, to approve a 99-year lease agreement between the city and the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority for portions of the Independence Greenway extension, substantially in the form presented to this council. Section 3, to accept a grant of easement from the Massachusetts Department of Transportation substantially in the form presented to this council, being parcels 25 EG1, 26 EG1, and 26 EG3. And 4, to authorize the mayor to execute the order of taking, lease agreement, grant of easement, and such other instruments and documents as necessary and convenient to carry out the purposes of this order. So moved.
You heard the motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll do a roll call vote on this.
Councilors Daigle.
Yes.
Hockman.
Yes.
Turco.
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
I'll now entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. We're going to go right into aggregate moving forward. As soon as that comes back on, we'll go right into aggregate. Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Aggregate Industries review of the 2025 annual report. We only have one item on the agenda, and that is the review of the Aggregate Industries 2025 and a report. In attendance is Councilor Daigle, Councilor Gamache, and myself as the chair. All other councilors are present and accounted for. I would now turn it over to Councilor Gamache.
Yes, I'd move under suspension of the rules to receive late 6 and 8M. So moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. I'll now turn it over to Aggregate Industries. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jarrett Temple. I am the Senior Manager for Land, Real Estate, and Public Affairs for Amrise, formerly known as Wholesome, Lafarge, Wholesome, and Aggregate Industries. I thank the City Council members' time.
As you know, we get an annual report from Aggregate. It's multiple pages. Everybody's already had their chance to read and review this. In that annual report, like I said, it's over 750 pages. Right now, I'll turn it over to the councilors if they have any questions regarding the report or any comments or concerns. Seeing none, I also want to let the councilors know that we also have Captain Dowling here, and I know there's a resident that wants to speak on this matter, so if there's no objection, I will go to the resident that wants to speak.
Thank you very much.
Just state your name and address for the record.
Eric Lampedecchio, 3 Madison Avenue, Peabody, Mass. 5 years officially this month. Thank you all for having me in attendance this night, and thank you for sharing those meeting minutes in advance. I'd love a copy of that packet if I could get it. I know several councilors have my contact information. I really appreciate to have a chance to review that as well. I'm here before you tonight to just ask a request, more so than anything, around the special permit that is typically annually granted to Aggregate to continue to operate in a residential neighborhood. Over the past 5 years, what I've found is that during several inclement weather events, the emissions that are normally dissipating across the atmosphere accumulate over the neighborhood, resulting in a very strong odor. And I have some concerns, specifically health concerns, that have actually brought me before the Board of Health 3 times over the past year to discuss that further with both Aggregate, the Board of Health, and I've also contacted Mass DEP. The Fire Department, I've also been in touch with Chief Dowling before on this matter as well. There's no best way to get out there and monitor maintenance when one of these events occur. So there's no way to really tell what's the true health impact of this accumulation when we get one of these strong odors. And when I say strong odor, it's not just a whiff of asphalt from a truck. It's really saturated air that you walk out. It's really thick. You can feel the thickness in the air at times. With that said, my request to the council is one of 2 things. Currently, inclement weather events affect the blasting that takes place at Aggregate. So they don't blast when there's inclement weather, meaning there's a low cloud cover. I'm requesting the same for the emissions. Those emissions are not dissipating as they should, as the intent of the special permit. And as a result of that, they accumulate, and I have health concerns around what those emissions are doing to the neighboring residents. If that can't be attained, my other request would be that you ask Aggregate to implement the best available control technology, also known as blue smoke, and to continue to monitoring for best available control technologies going forward and implement those so that it mitigates the most potential health concerns of neighbors like myself. So thank you all for your time tonight. And just to recap, I'm asking one of 2 things. Either number 1, mitigate the emissions when there's low cloud cover and there's inclement weather that we know doesn't allow them to dissipate properly, or number 2, put it in writing on the special permit to require best available control technologies be implemented. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Councilor Gamache.
Yes, excuse me, Mr. President. I was going to ask that the representative address those issues that he presented.
Mr. Tensel.
I can't really address anything on air quality because we are, as we've stated in public meetings and with several meetings with the Board of Health, that we're not in violation of any air quality regulations, whether it be municipal, state, or federal. As far as best available control technologies, we do employ that as it's written into our permit. I have spoken with the Board of Health, with Councilman Higgins, about our desire to implement a blue smoke system, which is why Mr. Lampedecchio really knows what that is. However, we can't do it without the permission of the Mass DEP, and we're waiting for them to allow us to do it. And frankly, it's an old rule, and frankly, since this component is a bolt-on, and it will improve fugitive emissions from loadout, they're moving to make this, I don't know that they're going to write it into law, but they're working to make it so that you don't have to have it written into your permit, that you can just go ahead and bolt it on. It makes too much sense. There are already several states in the country that allow this without a permit modification. So we're just waiting on a ruling from the Mass DEP, and we anticipate about 15 months from right now that we will have that implemented if the DEP acts as we expect them to.
Councilor Gamache.
So currently, right now, you are looking at the ability to do this, but you're waiting for the Mass DEP to approve it?
Correct.
So you have to get an approval to apply this to the machines, the materials you have out there?
Yeah, I mean, look, to make it really simple, historically, you would have to open up the permit. And if you open up a permit, you open it up to everything. And in our industry, typically, you don't do that. Once you have an air permit, your air permit is good perpetually. So the Mass DEP recognizes this, and they want to make it as easy as possible for companies like ours that are willing to spend the money. And this is a 7-figure bolt-on. This isn't a cheap thing. It costs over $1 million to put it in, and we want to put it on all 12 asphalt plants in the Commonwealth. So to answer your question, sorry for the long way to answer your question, yes, we're waiting for the Mass DEP's ruling on this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Gamache. Per my recollection, we had the same discussion last year, if I'm not mistaken. So it went to DEP over a year ago, and they haven't responded at all?
Correct. The Mass DEP does not move quickly, and they have, protocols internally, just like everybody, and we're hoping that sooner than later this gets resolved.
Okay, thank you. Any further councilors want to speak on this matter? Councilor Turco.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I was going to mention the same thing, that we talked about blue smoke last year. We talked about you were going to expedite these permits and move quickly, and a year later, nothing. But you kind of say two different things. You say that you don't want to reopen your permit, and Mass DEP's delaying it. So is it you that's delaying it because you don't want to open your permit, or is it Mass DEP? Because I just kind of heard two different versions there.
In order for us to do it, we would have to open up the permit, and then the Mass DEP would have to approve it. So the Mass DEP is trying to make it easier for our industry to just do this without the regulatory oversight.
Right, but prior to that, or maybe post that, you said, once in our business, once we have a permit, we don't want to reopen it. We're not in the habit of reopening them. So are you delaying this just by the fact that you don't want to reopen your permit?
We're not allowed to put it on. We couldn't just bolt it on. We would be shut down. We could be shut down by the Mass DEP for doing that, because that would be a violation of our permit.
Okay, and if I remember correctly, the reason you gave for the odor last year was a bad mix, or I'm trying to recollect. You had an issue with the asphalt coming in.
It was liquid asphalt.
Yeah, and has that been rectified?
Yeah, that was a regional problem, and so far this year, there has not been an odor issue, not only for us, but for the entire asphalt industry. So it was a supplier problem.
Okay, to Eric, Mr. Lampadecchio's point, you obviously call off blasting during inclement weather. Is there a way where you can see that there's a low ceiling and possibly mitigate that way, through, I don't think you'd require a plant closure, but are there different routes that you could take that would help mitigate the odor? Is it just during loading that this smell emanates, or, I guess maybe I need to know a little bit more about that before I ask what you can do about it?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, Mr. Lampadecchio lives a couple hundred yards from the entrance to our facility as a crow flies. So my best guess is what he's smelling are trucks leaving our facility. And we don't own these trucks. They're third-party independent operators. So when they leave our site, they're driving down the road. Most of them have just closed the roll-off to their truck, and they're driving down the road. And I don't know if you've ever driven behind an asphalt truck. There's no way to stop it. You can smell asphalt. So until the industry changes something about the way their trucks work to sort of encapsulate the smell, it's always going to smell. So to your point about what we could do about days with low ceiling, I mean, look, there are rules when it comes to blasting. That's MSHA regulated, things like that. Typically, we don't blast when there's a rain event. When it comes to asphalt, we open up the doors and customers come in. We never know from one day to the next what our numbers are going to look like. So if it's raining, no one's laying asphalt down. So on days when it's low ceiling, if it's really going to rain, no one's laying asphalt. But until it starts raining, the doors are open and people come.
Thank you.
Oh, and as far as truck routes, I think that's another way. Unfortunately, there's one of two ways to go. And again, once trucks leave our site, we have no say as to which direction they go. And until the city wants to tell us or put regulations on the streets as to weight restrictions or routes which trucks can go, we have no way to regulate that at all.
Thank you. Councilor Gamache.
Yeah, to that effect, I received a phone call this afternoon concerning trucks going down Lake Street. Now, I know that we shut down Lowell Street for some time today to do a correction of a line and they were digging up the street and they were detouring from Russell Street to Lowell Street to Lake Street, so I understand that. Do you have any route sheets or routes that you can ask the drivers to take instead of going Lowell Street to Lake Street versus going down Lowell Street to Route 1? A lot of them go Lake Street to beat the traffic on Route 1 and get past the light, but in retrospect, the route they should be taking is Lowell Street. I'll yield.
Just a point of information. One thing that the route that they were trying to do, which there is no trucks allowed, is down Roosevelt. So the police were called often when they were trying to take that route. So they're trying to find the fastest pattern to get to Route 1 South possible. So yes, so they're not taking Roosevelt as much anymore. So that's why they're starting to try to take Lake when they're not caught. And it's far enough away from their business that they're not being notified because the residents aren't right there saying, it's your truck, I just watched it pull out of your driveway.
Yeah, well, it's just something that, and I know today was an aberration because of the shutdown of Lowell Street, but if you could recommend to the people that come in there and ask them to stay on Lowell Street to Route 1 versus going down Lowell Street to Lake Street, you know, that's something that maybe you can institute it when they pull out and let some of the drivers know that, you know, we'd rather have them using Lowell Street to Route 1 than Lake Street.
I'm happy to make any recommendation to the drivers that you give me. Again, I can't regulate it and I can't enforce it, but I can say that this is the recommended route. To this point, though, regardless of which direction they go, left or right out of our facility, doesn't change the distance from which Mr. Lampadacchio lives to our operation.
And thank you for that, and I'll make sure we get you a suggestion route to the office. Thank
Excellent.
You.
Thank
Before
you.
I go to you, Councilor Hockman, the Ward 6 Councilor, Councilor Higgins, I'll defer to you.
Sure. I have a couple of points, but I wanted to address the travel down Lake Street. About 2 years ago, there was a construction project going on in Revere, which increased the truck flow. We had about 75 additional trucks coming in and out of aggregate industries at that time, and they had to, we worked with aggregate, the residents noticed it, there was a huge uproar of the traffic, and aggregate dispatchers were asking truckers to not use Lake Street. But at the time, in the early mornings, you're asking them to go up Route 1 and sit in a lot of traffic. So to Jared's point, they can only recommend, can't really legislate. And the Roosevelt restriction, that was not something the city just did and put up some signs and restrict that. That has to come from Mass DOT. And people, I just want people to know that if they start asking about why, and it has been asked in the past, why can't we do the same thing with Lake Street? It's a major thoroughway to Route 1 that's not going to be allowed. We're not going to be able to restrict trucks on Lake Street with a sign saying over 2.5 tons. So, and aggregate has done a good job as far as notifying truckers not to use, Lake during that summer. But I haven't received a whole lot of complaints since then. I still get complaints about folks going down Roosevelt, however, so that's really difficult for the police department. We do ask for traffic details. I just recently asked for one about 2 weeks ago. We try to prevent that. However, there are contractors that have to go up into Presidential Heights for jobs. And occasionally there are trucks going up there, and I happened to see one Saturday morning, and I thought, aha, I got one. And no, he was going to a site where he had a job up there. So, but to Mr. Temple, through the chair, My question about the blue smoke detection system, we heard, you said tonight 15 months from tonight. I heard 18 months from September of last year. You mentioned the permitting from the Mass DEP, and that's different from our special permit. I just want to make that clear. But so you're telling us there are no blue smoke detection systems in the state of Massachusetts currently? Is that correct?
Well, no, that's not correct. If a municipality had written that into their permit, when the air permit was issued, they would have installed it. Or if it was part of the components that were put into the permitting process through DEP, they could have approved it. But to make that change after your permit's been issued, you would need to open the permit back up. So that's a process in itself. And as I explained before, the Mass DEP wants us to do this, but they're trying to amend their own process to make this easier, not just for us, but for every asphalt producer in the Commonwealth.
Through the chair, so we're being held by Mass DEP, who has seen this system installed elsewhere. Seems okay. How long is that process going to take?
I don't know the answer to that, but I can tell you this. We, in the southern region, now up here we're in the northeast region, the Nero, for Mass DEP. In the southeast region, we actually got the southeast region to agree to an administrative amendment to our permit. Now, again, the southern region and the northern region are completely different entities, and they act independently of each other when it comes to decisions on permits, if you believe that. So we're using that decision in the south to convince the north to do the same. And that's why we believe this will be done sooner than later, because there is precedence even within the department.
Yeah, thank you. The fact that precedence has been set, I would like to think that Mass DEP could move a lot quicker than it's not establishing anything new. It's already been done. We need this system sooner than later, and I look forward to working with you and anyone else at our state level to push this along and get that hurdle overcome. Once that hurdle is passed, what is the lead time for installing such a system?
It won't take long at all. We already have the CapEx done. The administrative things that we need to do on our end from our company are already done. So it would just be having it delivered and having it installed. So 3 to 6 months.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Higgins. Councilor Hockman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I'd like to thank Captain Dowling for being here with us tonight, and for Inspector Pellizzaro for the work that he's done and the memorandum that we received. I appreciate your efforts in trying to keep everyone safe and secure when it comes to the quarry and everything else that you do. Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name, the acoustics.
Temple. Temple, Jarrett Temple.
Temple, Mr. Temple. We're speaking in part different languages, because I don't understand the technology and I don't understand the engineering that goes into your industry. And I want to thank Mr. Pinecchio, excuse me, for appearing before us today and offering his thoughts and observations and experiences with us. So from what I hear you saying is that you have a permit, you, the quarry, have a permit to operate, and that permit sets the floor for what you can do, right? It doesn't set the ceiling. So in other words, that permit's been in existence for decades. And over those decades, OSHA has changed regulations, and your industry has changed standards with regard to environmental issues or a whole host of other issues. I remember when I was in the Conservation Commission, we talked about turbidity of water, and there was some rip-wrapping that we asked to be installed. And so there have been alterations to the manner in which I say you because you're the representative, but the quarry operates over the course of time, and that comes from technology, and that comes from different changes through experiences that people have with OSHA and safety regulations and things along those lines. And I hear you talking tonight about this blue smoke detection system is something that you want to install, and you agree would improve the condition that Lampecchio is describing, but you're then telling us that you're restrained from doing that because the permit doesn't specifically say that you can install this blue smoke detector monitoring system? Is that what you're saying?
It's correct. It's not our permit. It is the state's permit.
So over the course of time, I haven't looked at this permit. I just got on the council, but you can't tell. I don't think I would believe you if you told me that you haven't changed any safety regulations within the quarry. Is there anything within the permit that says that these are the safety regulations of 1990 or whenever you got this permit, and that you're not allowed to amend those safety regulations?
We're not talking about safety regulations. We're talking about air quality, an air permit.
Well, I'm not talking about safety regulations of people that work in the quarry. I'm talking about safety regulations of my residents. So I'm talking about safety regulations. Air quality is something that I think your permit would require you to, or there wouldn't be a prohibition within your permit to adhere to industry standards, which you're telling me that this blue smoke detector system, this isn't something that's dreamt up and is some, foreign concept that we don't know if it works. Your own testimony tonight is that it works and it's something that you want to implement.
It's true, and I will say this. I would urge you to read that permit, because back in 2002, and there haven't been a lot of changes in regulation or technology in the asphalt production industry, but the city had the wherewithal back in 2002 to hold just our permit, just ours, which was Aggregate Industries at the time, to 1/100th of NIOSH's air quality standards, 1/100th, and that's what we're held to. There's a list of them. I couldn't tell you it off the top of my head.
I'm just baffled by your testimony that you want to do this, you think it's the best practice, and for some reason, since it's not specifically spelled out in a DEP permit, that you're somehow constrained from doing it, even though the technology may not have existed back when this permit was initially issued, and no one knew about it.
The technology existed, and it hasn't changed much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Hockman. Any further councilors? Councilor Higgins.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Mr. Temple for clarification. We have the special permit that we issued, the city of Peabody issued to you in 2002, and that I agree with Councilor Hockman. I don't believe there's anything in there stating that you cannot do anything that would improve air quality for the residents. So I wanted you to clarify, are you talking about a state permit to install this system, and that's outside of our permit?
Correct. That's okay. The air permit. So the equipment that we use to manufacture asphalt is permitted through the state, through the Mass DEP, and they issue it based on a number of different factors. To make any modification to the manufacturing process, you have to, the state has to allow you to do that, and you have to be re-permitted to do that. And that's what we're working through. And I understand the question and whether or not, we're the ones holding it up. We are not the ones holding it up. We are trying to implement it at every single asphalt plant we have in the Commonwealth, and we have 12 of them, more than just about any one of our competitors. And we're trying to do the right thing. So the state recognizes that, and they're trying to work with us and change their process. We're at their mercy at the moment.
Thank you.
Any further councilors? Councilor Daigle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much. I would like to, with all of this being said, make a motion to request DEP to add or install a blue smoke detection system to Amorize Northeast, Inc. So moved.
You heard the motion. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Any further questions or comments from the council? Councilor Higgins.
Yeah, I didn't want to dominate all the conversation, but I did want to talk. I'm intimately involved with this quarry. It's in Ward 6, and I wanted to, we had a pre-blast meeting in April. We are, last year, the quarry had 9 blasts, which was down from the previous years of 20 and then 19, and then last year, 9. This year, we're going to have more. We were looking at noise. We monitor air quality, noise, decibels of noise from every blast. This for 2025, we have a memo from engineering department, and I'd like to thank Mr. Stanfield for doing his memo, looking over the annual report that's over 750 pages. There's a lot of numbers to crunch and a bunch of tables in there with decibels in every one of them. So they were around 125 dB and the limit's 133. So for last year, they were well within the noise limits. The air quality the noise measurements for background noise, we had in 2 locations approached close to the limit, but well within the net weighted average. So they were well within spec. However, 2 spots got close to the 10 dB limit. And I wanted to mention and thank Aggregate Amrise for fixing the elevator system. It's been a point of contention for the previous 2 seasons where the elevator system is creating a lot of noise, and they promised to fix it in 2024. And due to material issues, it spilled into 2025. So we appreciate that got fixed. So we're looking forward to 2026 noise level measurements actually being lower than in the past. But it remains to be seen. We got to wait and see those test results. Also would like to thank Mr. Temple and his team for listening to us the previous 2 years when we asked to have, and it's in the special permit, to measure noise levels in the spring and in the fall. And for my first 2 seasons, we were doing it in August and November. And in 2025 was our first report where it was actually conducted in the spring and the fall. I think it was May and September or October, something like that. So thank you for that. We measured they measured the air quality, and unfortunately in the report we saw that at the time of the testing, we had a resident or 2 burning yard waste. And I'm disappointed that we saw something in the report from that, but I'm actually pleased that these measurement techniques were actually able to detect it and pinpoint where it came from. So it's a pretty sensitive test. I think I'd like to thank Sharon Cameron, Director of Health, for supplying a memo. She's also asked when the noise level measurement was last taken, it was approaching near the high point for a brief moment, and I think for an hour it was getting close to 10 dB, but that was the end of the testing period, so we didn't get to see how that noise level was going to dissipate or remain the same after the period had ended. So she had requested or asked if we can have that measurement extended in the future if there is a level that high to continue monitoring. And I'd like to ask Mr. Temple through the chair if that's something that's possible for the next go-around.
I will ask our testing company if that's possible. I don't know that they're actually getting the measurements in real time. When they walk up to it, I don't know that they can see that, oh, at this moment, it's above the 10 dB limit, so let's continue. I'll ask the question. But I would like to point out the one data point that you're talking about, and just so everyone knows, there's 6 different monitoring locations when we're testing for noise. And that it takes a data point every hour. So in the 23rd hour of testing, which was at 11 a.m., there was one location that was at 12 decibels over background, and the limit's 10. Now, in the permit, it's a time-weighted average, and the time-weighted average for all 6 cumulatively was 6. So in just one data point, that was 12. It wasn't the closest, so it was interesting. But the one comment and observation that the testing company made when they went to retrieve the equipment was that somebody was cutting the grass. The neighbor of that location was cutting the grass at the time. So I think that was an anomaly, but again, just a point. We're well within limits at cumulatively 6 over when the limit is 10. But Chairman, Councilman, I will ask that question. If they can see it in real time, and if there is an exceedance when they approach the equipment, we'll ask that they extend it.
Councilor Higgins.
Yeah, thank you. And I'd like to thank the fire department who is here tonight. They monitor every blast, just for folks that aren't aware in the public that, you know, we have some strict standards in the permit for horn blasting and signaling before a blast is to happen. Robocalls go out, and I've implored folks that want to know about the blasts to reach out. We can get you on, you know, the robocall list. But the fire department is there, and we've had some folks that claim this year wasn't too bad. I think we had one complaint from I got it from a resident that didn't hear the whistle blow before the blast. And we've addressed this in the past, but it's wonderful that the fire department is there to observe every single one of them, and they report whether the blast was sounded or not. And they're definitely whistling the siren every time. So unfortunately, when the wind blows a certain direction, people can't hear it. But also would like to just reiterate from some of our other residents on Stiles Drive, Wentworth, and Russell, the hours of operation. We still see folks entering the yard after 4 o'clock, 4:30. We really would like to see that adhered to and be a little more strict about people coming and going with the trucks and the noises that they make after 4 o'clock. Is there anything you can do to address the hours of operation with your customers so that they anticipate traffic and prepare to be in your facility before 4:01?
I'll definitely look into that. As far as I know, the gates close at 4 p.m. We've had some complaints about trucks going in early or lining up early. Again, we control the gate opening and closing. So I can definitely look into that. We've addressed the problem about trucks showing up early, but coming in after 4 o'clock, I will definitely look into that. That's news to me.
Thank you. That would be much appreciated. I'd also like to thank Mr. Lemtecchio for taking time out of his schedule to be here and speak with us. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he has one more item to speak of, if the chair would entertain that.
Yep, I was going to go to him next.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Higgins.
Thank you for your leniency, Chair. I just wanted to thank you, Councilor Daigle, for that motion. I really appreciate it, and thank you all for your attention tonight. Also, thank you to Mr. Temple. It's not easy to be on the hot seat. I will say he's been very proactive with his recent communications around paving their own driveway, which are very much appreciated. So thank you all for your time again.
Thank you. At this point, I would like to, any further questions from the council? Seeing none at this point, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the 2025 annual report submitted by Aggregate, AKA Amrise, with the special requests and conditions being Aggregate Industries shall conduct additional noise mitigation efforts, ensure that the 10 dB increase above background noise is not exceeded from any location at any time. Groundwater samples from the well should be continue to be taken in the springtime. This will allow wells to have adequate groundwater tables to help ensure that the sample can be taken and analyzed. Noise monitoring measurements must be conducted twice a year in the spring and fall while facilities are operating. All conditions of the special permit issued in 2002 must be met going forward. You heard the motion. Any discussion on the motion? Being none, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote.
Motion to adjourn.
You heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. We're adjourned.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the City Council for Thursday, May 28th, 2026. I'm Michael Higgins, Ward 6 City Councilor and Council President. All councilors are present. Public participation to this meeting is provided in person and remotely via Zoom in accordance with Massachusetts general law. The Zoom link can be found on the city website. This meeting is also being televised and recorded by Peabody TV and by the City Council stenographer. Please join us for a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. If there's no objections, I would like to allow Mayor Ted Betancourt to address the council. Seeing none, Mayor Betancourt.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening to you. Good evening, councilors. Hope everybody's doing well. I'll be very brief. I'm very happy to bring forward some appointments today. I have a number of communications, but the one I wanted to speak to is specifically to our appointments. You'll see a number of appointments that are reappointments. I'm happy to speak to any of those, but one appointment I wanted to bring forward was to bring forward the new cemetery superintendent for the city of Peabody, Alan DeFranzo. We had a lengthy process of hiring, and I wanted to recognize and thank our HR director, Dagmar Whitaker, Mike Gingras, our finance director, and then Faye Calhoun, who is our chair of the cemetery commission. They oversaw the interview process and then brought forward a candidate to my office. And had the opportunity to meet Alan. Had a great deal of experience. He's worked for the last 20-plus years over for the town of Wakefield, working his way up to general foreman. Their structure is a little bit different from the city of Peabody in that Alan was the one that worked with families, tended to their needs, oversaw the whole operation from the beginning to burial, and has outstanding certifications, licenses, and just a demeanor that I thought would fit very well with the city of Peabody and for that important work that takes place at the cemetery. I'm very happy to bring Alan forward as he's here with his wife and daughter, and very happy to bring him forward. Also, I wanted to take this opportunity to speak to, it's funny enough, he's on the appointment list as well, Dave Cronin to the Community Preservation Commission. Dave is a member of the Historical Commission, has done an amazing job there. But I wanted to speak specifically to the work that he's done for our cemetery department at Cedar Grove and Oak Grove. Dave was, as all of you know, I think, was the longtime cemetery superintendent for the city of Peabody. He retired a few years ago. We brought him out of retirement when we had the opening at the beginning of this year. He's been running the cemetery the last few months and has really done an outstanding job bringing some stability and some short and long-term planning to the position. You may have seen, if you've been over there, that we have installed the new columbarium over at the site right near the chapel. That will hold 72 spots for urns, and that actually is double space there. A lot of cemeteries now have gone in that direction and offer that service as well, and we've been able to move forward with that. Also, there's been work that's taking place over at the expansion at Section K. There'll be well over 200 spots there for burial, and well as Dave is looking at some other options for us in the future for additional space. So I feel really good about the future of the department, and really Dave Cronin has done an outstanding job. He's going to be working with us a little bit longer here, helping with the transition, but also with the expansion work. I'm very grateful for Dave for stepping up for the city once again, as he has been doing for decades. And I really feel good about bringing Al on board. I think Al's going to be a terrific fit over at Cedar Grove and continue to operate as we need over at that important part of our community. Happy to give more details to that. Al is here. I think he has like a 10-page speech he wanted to provide maybe, but he is here and wanted to say a few words, and really happy to bring him forward for an appointment. Thank you.
Sure, go ahead. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I just want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to work for the city of Peabody. I've been here for about 3 or 4 weeks, and it's been great since. Dave has been a great help during this whole transition, basically, and we have a great, Leanne, our office manager, has been great through this whole process, and we have 2 workers that are also down the cemetery that are hard workers, and I know we can get a lot accomplished with everybody's help. So.
Thank you. It was interesting looking through your resume and seeing your work for the town of Wakefield, which is I have near and dear to my heart. Or my first 10 years of my life I lived there, and still have family members there. And it was interesting to see some familiar names through your resume of people that I know fairly well. But welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Any comments from the Councilor Turco?
Yeah, I just want to say, I just mentioned to Alan that obviously I'm in the facilities field, and I have a coworker that once worked for Wakefield, and I asked when I saw Alan's name, and his eyes lit up and said, "You got yourself a great guy there," and I was very happy to hear that. So I'm looking forward to working with you. So
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Councilor Manning Martin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the mayor. Mayor, you mentioned the Cemetery Commission. Was this required to go to the Cemetery Commission and get a vote of approval for the Cemetery Commission?
I don't believe so.
No?
No.
So, I'm sorry, I asked you a 2-part question. I'm sorry. It's not required to go to them, and they didn't, so therefore they didn't vote.
No, there was no vote on Al's hire. As the appointing authority,
Okay.
I believe I have the ability to bring it forward.
Okay, thank you.
Any other councilors? Oh, Councilor Hockman.
Thank you. I think we need to move to receive item 7E.
You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed? Let's vote. Councilor Hockman.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank the mayor for putting forward the nominations of people, and specifically welcome Alan to the city of Peabody. It's a difficult position that you have. We're confident in you. I'm confident in your abilities based upon reading through your resume and through the hiring committee that you interviewed with. So welcome, and if you need anything, or feel free to come forward to us and keep the lines of communication open. And thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Welton.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to extend congratulations and welcome as well, Alan. I live down the street from Cedar Grove, beautiful property, and thank you for your hard work, and looking forward to working with you. Thanks.
Councilor Gamache.
Yes, if we've received 7E, if I could make the motion to approve. There are no further comments from the council. Motion to approve, and I'll give the list of everybody on.
Are there any comments from the council before you go on and with this motion? Continue.
Thank you. At this time, I move approval on the Bukia Shelver, 18 Hilltop, Board of Registers, 4/1/2029, 3-year term. Dagmar Whitaker, Commission on Disability, 12/31/27, 2-year term. Martin Goldsworthy, Cemetery Commission, 12/31/27, 2-year term. Alan DeFranzo, Cemetery Superintendent, 12/31/26, 1-year term. And Dave Cronin, Community Preservation Commission, alternate, 12/31/26, 1-year term. So moved.
You heard the motion. It's a roll call vote.
Councilors Daigle.
Yes.
Gamache.
Yes.
Hockman.
Yes.
Turco.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Ladoff.
Yes.
Corriveau.
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Motion carries 11-0.
Thank you. Congratulations. Welcome to Peabody. Tonight we had a number of subcommittee meetings. I would like to request, we had a Public Services Committee meeting tonight. Councilor Gamache.
Yes, the Public Service Committee met earlier this evening. Councilors Corvo, Turco, Rozignol, and Manning Martin sat in for Councilor Welton. DPW Director Will Politz updated the council about the procedures in place to mediate the sewage issues on Linden Road and vicinity. The city now power jets the lines in the spring and uses a router and to remove grease and tree roots in the fall. Councils were very happy with this update. So moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Gamache.
That's out of committee. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We also had a Legal Affairs Committee meeting tonight. Councilor Rossignol.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had a number of items on the agenda this evening for Legal Affairs. Present for the meeting was myself as chair, Councilor Rossignol, Councilor Daigle, Councilor Hockman, Councilor Peach, Councilor Turco were also there for Legal Affairs, as well as all other councilors were in attendance. We had 4 items on the agenda. There are a number of motions that came out of committee. The first item that was taken was amending the city code and creating section 11-35 tax title payment plan. This was presented to us by the city treasurer. I now bring that forward for the approval for the council at whole. The tax and it's titled tax title payment plan 11.35. 11.35.1, the purpose pursuant to the provision of General Chapter Law 62A, the treasurer shall have the authority to enter into writing payment agreements with persons entitled to redeem parcels in tax title. The payment agreement shall be executed on such terms and conditions for payment of the delinquency in taxes, interest, or any other costs, fees, and charges associated with the same in accordance with General Law 6062 and this ordinance. 11, through you, Mr. President, through to the city clerk, does every single item need to be addressed verbally?
I think you can just read the title of each section.
And then the amendments? Thank you for that. 11.35.2, types of parcels, and then that's broken down into commercial, residential, and industrial, and open space. 11.35.3, terms of agreement, and that's broken down into payment agreement, following minimum requirements. Payment agreements shall be from a term of 5 years. The payment agreement shall include a down payment of 20% of the total outstanding bill. However, no tax collected or interest fees may be waived at any payment. 11.35.3.1.3. The payment agreement shall include waivers of 50% of the interest assessed by the city treasurer, and that accrued tax title accounts, but only if the tax payment complies with the terms of the agreement. However, no tax, city collector, or fee may be waived at any payment agreement. 11.35.314. In the event of any scheduled payment not received or due date, the payment shall be considered late if the payment remains unpaid for a period of 3 business days after this due date. The payer fails to make more than 3 consecutive payments, whether consecutive or non-consecutive. The treasurer reserves the right to declare the payer in default of this agreement. Upon such default, the treasurer may terminate this agreement immediately and declare the entire remaining unpaid balance due to unpayable in full. The treasurer may also pursue any and all remedies available under applicable law to recover the outstanding balance. 11.35.4, proceedings, and this is broken into one category, and that's terms and agreements. I now bring that forward to the council as a whole. So moved.
And you're going to make a motion to draft and advertise?
Correct.
You heard any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, it's a roll call vote.
Councilors Daigle.
Yes.
Gamache.
Yes.
Hockman.
Yes.
Turco.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Rossignol.
Yes.
Ladoff.
Yes.
Corriveau.
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Motion carries 11-0.
Councilor Rossignol.
Thank you, Mr. President. Second item on the agenda was a motion brought forward by Councilor Gamache, and that was to refer a discussion about mattresses and collecting fees. There were 3 motions made out of that committee. The first one was to, under suspension of the rules, to receive item 8H. So moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Rossignol.
Thank you, Mr. President. The second motion was to have community development review Salem and Beverly's mattresses and box spring ordinances, specifically seek the service of Tough Stuff or UTEC to provide curbside pickup for residents. Peabody residents can still bring their mattresses and box springs to 50 Farm Ave with a sticker. That passed unanimously. I now bring that before the council. So moved.
Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, it's a roll call vote. Yep, roll call vote.
Councilors Daigle.
Yes.
Gamache.
Yes.
Parkman.
Yes.
Turco.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Ladoff.
Yes.
Corriveau.
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Motion carries 11-0.
Councilor Rossignol.
Thank you, Mr. President. Third motion from that item was to propose a fee increase of $40. That also passed unanimously. And now bring that before the council as a whole. So moved. And that is to increase each mattress to be $40 instead of the current fee of $20. And the rationale behind that motion at the subcommittee level was to get into line with all other surrounding communities.
Any discussion on the motion? Councilor Hockman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to Councilor Rossignol, it's each mattress and each box spring is $40 fee.
Correct.
Councilor Peach.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to the clerk. Is that something we need to advertise? Because it's a change. Or when we moved that last year?
Exactly.
Fix that. Okay, thank you.
Any other councilors? You heard the motion. It's a roll call vote.
Councilors Daigle.
Yes.
Gamache.
Yes.
Parkman.
Yes.
Turco.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Ladoff.
Yes.
Corriveau.
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Motion carries 11-0.
Councilor Rossignol.
Thank you, Mr. President. Third item on the agenda was 190 Rear, AKA 194 Newbury Street. And believe it or not, this was kind of an eye-opener for newer councils and to be honest with you, with myself. A resident brought forward the issue that this council approved condos. The builder turned that construction project into apartments, even though throughout our entire process of approving that special permit, it gets superseded by the state, basically saying that a condo and apartment have the same value, meaning that they only look at number of units, not what those units are. So in some points, it's actually a cautionary tale for this council to make sure that if it's a by right use or if it's a special permit, they can alter that and go with apartments, even though this council's wish may be condos moving forward. No motions came out of that specific item. Last item on the agenda was the Peabody Independence Greenway extension. That was brought forth by Community Development. One motion that came out of there was, under suspension of the rules, motion to receive item 8L. I bring that to the council as a whole, so moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Rossignol.
Thank you, Mr. President. Second motion, there was a lengthy discussion about the process and what this entailed. It's an extension of the bike path that we've already started to undertake, which goes basically from the mall all the way to West Peabody, and this is just an extension of that. One of the great points that were brought up through discussion was one of the comments that I think we've all seen is, well, how can you go up on taxes when you're doing a bike path? And the separation is this bike path is not city money particular to spending on roads, streets, bridges, infrastructure, staff. This is specific tax dollars that have to go to open space, green space, and if we don't bid on these types of bonds, which is just another tax, or these types of projects, other cities and towns can take that same money. So it was a good notification to the residents that this pot of money that is earmarked towards green space has to be spent on green space. The other motion that was taken up was to approve an order of taking substantially in the form presented to this council affecting those properties listed in Schedule A of the order of taking and shown on plans entitled Easement Plan Independence Greenway, Lowell Street in Peabody, dated April 16th, 2026, and further to approve payment in the amount of $221,000 in accordance with the damages awarded set forth in Schedule B of the order of taking as competency for the acquisition of the property interests. To approve a 99-year lease agreement between the city and the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority for portions of the Independent Greenway extension, substantially in the form presented to this council. To accept a grant of easement from the Massachusetts Department of Transportation, substantial in the form presented to this council, being parcel 25-EG-1, shown on the aforesaid map, as well as parcel 26-EG1 and 26-EG3. Also to authorize the mayor to execute the order of taking lease agreement and grant easements of such other instruments and documents as necessary and conveniently carried out to the purpose of this order. So moved.
Any comments on the motion? Seeing none, it's a roll call vote.
Councilors Daigle.
Yes.
Gamache.
Yes.
Hockman.
Yes.
Turco.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Ladoff.
Yes.
Corriveau.
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Motion carries 11-0.
Councilor Rozignol.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That is a report of Committee from Legal Affairs.
Thank you. We now have we also had a subcommittee meeting for the Ad hoc Committee on Aggregate Industries. Councilor Rozignol.
Thank you, Mr. President. There was a meeting earlier about aggregate industries, also now known as AMRIZE, A-M-R-I-Z-E. There was a lengthy discussion brought by you, Council President, as well as all members of the council. There were 4 motions out of that committee. I now bring them forward to the council as a whole. First motion was to receive under motion to receive 8M. Refer to this council. So moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? Let's vote. Councilor Rozignol.
Thank you, Mr. President. Second motion was to, under suspension of the rules, motion to receive late 6. I now bring that to the council. So moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? Let's vote. Councilor Rozignol.
Thank you, Mr. President. There was a lengthy discussion about air quality and a blue smoke system that, according to aggregate, we need approval from the DEP without opening their special permit. So there was a motion made by Councilor Daigle, and that was to request DEP to add the blue smoke detective system to AMRIZE's facility. That passed unanimously. I bring that now to the council. So moved.
Any discussion on the motion? It's a roll call vote.
Councilors Daigle.
Yes.
Gamache.
Yes.
Hockman.
Yes.
Turco.
Yes.
Manny Martin.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Ladoff.
Yes.
Corriveau.
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Motion carries 11-0.
Councilor Rozignol.
Thank you, Mr. President. Also to note that there is an expected 16 blasts this year, which is up from last year, which was 9, which is down from the previous year, which was 19. So I think that that is a good point to note. Last motion that came out of that that subcommittee was to approve the 2025 annual report with the following conditions. Aggregate Industries should conduct additional noise mitigation efforts to ensure that the 10 decibel increase above background noise is not exceeded for any location at any period of time. Condition 2, groundwater sampling from wells should continue to be taken in the springtime. This will allow wells to have adequate groundwater tables and to help ensure that a sample can be taken and analyzed. Condition 3, noise monitoring measurements must be conducted twice a year in the spring and fall while the facility is operating. All conditions of special permit issued in 2002 must be met going forward. So moved.
Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, it's a roll call vote.
Councilors Daigle.
Yes.
Gamache.
Yes.
Hockman.
Yes.
Turco.
Yes.
Manny Martin.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Ladoff.
Yes.
Corriveau.
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Motion carries 11-0.
Thank you. Councilor Rozignol.
That is report of Committee for Aggregate Industries. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Daigle.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, I move to receive item 8B as informational. So moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Daigle.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor, Mr. Chairman.
Sorry, I went a little too quick. Councilor Turco.
Was that 8C? I'm sorry.
B.
B, okay, my apologies, go ahead.
Okay, no worries. Councilor Daigle.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, I'm going to tackle Section 9 unless there are any other counselors that want to jump in and grab something in their own ward. Otherwise, motion to receive the junk dealer's license application from Blue River Diamonds, 210 Andover Street, and set up a public hearing, subject to all papers being in order. So moved. I'm going to keep going. 9A, 9B, receive entertainment license application, Red Tea at 126 Newbury Street, and set up a hearing, subject to all papers being in order. Motion to receive 9B, the following block party requests, subject to all papers being in order, and approve as well block parties for Alexandra Street and Travis Terrace on July 4th, and 2-page to 6-page street on July 18th, 2026. 9D, motion to receive and approve the following special event applications. Mayor Betancourt's 2026 Summer Concert Series on Sundays from July 12th through August 16th, subject to that application being in order. And the Portuguese American Community Cookout on June 20th, 2026, subject to all papers being in order. Motion to receive and approve general license, limousine license, Boston chauffeur at 222 Newbury Street, subject to all papers being in order. Motion to 9F, receive and approve, subject to all papers being in order, junk dealers licenses Bill Salem Music, 136 Main Street, and Kay's Jewelers, 210 Andover Street. And 9G, use of Wigan Auditorium. I'd say subject to all papers being in order, but this has already happened. The Department of Social Services and Behavioral Health event on May 27th, and the Peabody Education Foundation event on October 14th, 2026. Subject to all papers being in order. Receive and approve. So moved.
Are there any comments on the motion from any of the councilors? Seeing none. It's a roll call vote. I apologize, not a roll call vote. You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Daigle.
Thank you. No further motions, orders, or resolutions.
Thank you. Councilor Gamache.
Yes, at this time, I'd like to, under suspension of rules, go to item 8F, which is a request from the city clerk to mandate that police officers are at polling places. And the motion is to request that Police Chief Thomas Griffin assign a minimum of 1 police officer to each polling precinct for the state primary to be held on Tuesday, September 1st, 2026, the state election to be held on Tuesday, November 3rd, 2026, and any early voting dates in 2026. So moved.
Thank you. On the motion, it's the last part of that I'm a little unclear. Any early voting dates? So we do early voting here in City Hall. Is it the clerk's request that there be a police officer for each precinct, even though there's only 1 polling location here at City Hall?
Early voting. There would just be 1 police officer for...
Okay. So with that, I do want to, that's what I thought and that's what I expected your answer to be. I just want to bring this up for a conversation, and we're going to approve this, I'm pretty sure. But, at one point we had polling locations and precincts in different buildings, different locations. We now have 7 polling locations outside of early voting here at City Hall, 1 in each ward, and then Brooksby Village, where each ward has, except for Ward 4, has 3 precincts in 1 building. I know that we get reimbursed to some extent by the state for these election expenses, but I wonder if it's necessary to have 3 police officers generally in 1 gymnasium in an elementary school or a high school or a middle school for the entire time that polls are open. Just to, maybe it's rhetorical, maybe somebody wants to respond.
So, Councilor, that's a requirement that there's a police officer at each precinct, and so that's why when we have 3 precincts at a school, we have 3 police officers. And we may also have 1 out front directing traffic.
Any other comments on the motion? Seeing none? Councilor Turco?
Yes.
Councilor Gamache, go ahead.
I still have the floor? Thank you. At this time, I'd also, under suspension of rules, go to item 8G.
Oh, sorry, excuse me, Councilor Gamache. I thought you were adding to.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Item 8F. Yeah, you heard the vote, the motion. It's a roll call vote.
Councilors Daigle?
Yes.
Gamache?
Yes.
Hockman?
No.
Turco?
Yes.
Manning Martin?
Yes.
Welton?
Yes.
Rozignol?
Yes.
Ladoff?
Yes.
Corriveau?
Yes.
Peach?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Motion carries 10-1.
Councilor Gamache.
Yes. On that subject, I would like to carry that a little bit further for Councilor Hockman. And I don't want to put words in his mouth, so this is my own suggestion, that we ask the city clerk if there is a possibility that because we have polling in 3 precincts in 1 location, that we ask the Mass State Department of Election, or whoever they are, that we only need to have 1 police officer at each location and not each precinct, seeing that we have 3 precincts in 1 location. And I would ask that she look into that to see if it's possible. Yes, that's a form of a motion.
Oh, it's a motion, okay. Any comments on the motion? Councilor Daigle.
Thank you, Mr. President. That department falls under my place of employment, so I am going to recuse myself from voting on that. Thank you.
All right, you heard the motion. It's a roll call vote.
Councilors Gamache?
Yes.
Hockman?
Yes.
Turco?
Yes.
Manning Martin?
Yes.
Welton?
Yes.
Rozignol?
Yes.
Ladoff?
Yes.
Corriveau?
Yes.
Peach?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Motion carries 10-0.
Councilor Gamache.
Under suspension of rules, I'd like to go to item 8G, And this would be a request from the city clerk due to state primary being held on Tuesday, September 1st, 2026, that the timeline does not give enough time for the receiving, approving, and posting of the state primary warrant at least 7 days prior to September 1st. She has requested that we hold our August regular meeting on Tuesday, August 18th, and I would move to approve the date suggested. So moved.
Any comments on the motion? Seeing none, it's a roll call vote.
Councilors Daigle.
Yes.
Gamache.
Yes.
Hockman.
Yes.
Turco.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Ladoff.
Yes.
Corriveau.
Yes.
Peach. Yes. Higgins.
Yes.
Motion carries 11-0.
Councilor Gamache.
Yes, under suspension of rules, I would like to receive item 8I and set up a public hearing. I'm sorry, send it to ICD and also the planning board. It's a zoning change.
You want to send it to the planning board without first having ICD?
We can run them same time.
Okay.
I mean, they're going to get the same information we have. I mean, to expedite it, I think that, I'll take it back. We'll do ICD and then recommend to planning board, but they're going to do the same thing we're doing.
I thought perhaps if the INCD made changes, they would want those changes to go to the planning board.
Okay, just move to receive and set up an ICD meeting. So moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Gamache.
Under suspension of rules, item 8K, move to receive and send to ICD. So moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Gamache.
Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item late 3 and put that into ICD with the proposal for that issue. So moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Gamache.
I have no further motions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Hockman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of rules, I move to receive late 5 and put it into finance.
You heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Hockman.
Under suspension of rules, I move to receive item 8A for informational purposes.
You heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed?
Mr. President?
Oh, sorry. Comments? Councilor Peach.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a motion that I made. I'd like if Councilor Hockman could send that to Municipal Safety for further discussion.
So amended.
Thank you.
Any other comments? All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Hockman.
I'd also like to report that on May 19th of this year at 7:30, the joint ad hoc City Council School Committee meeting convened. I was present along with Councilors Corriveau and Ladoff, school committee members Carpenter, Dunn, and Superintendent Vidala were present. During that meeting, the school committee, particularly Superintendent Vidala, had a conversation regarding entitlement grants that the Peabody Public School Department receives, and he estimated those entitlement grants to be at $3.8 million for the last fiscal year. He also talked about competitive grants that get applied for and received for the last fiscal year of approximately $2.5 million. We talked about Essex Tech and Peabody's enrollment in Essex Tech, even though I think it's limited to 75 students for the 26-27 freshman class. Dr. Vidala described the process by which open seats get filled, and he anticipated that there'd be most likely be somewhere between 75 and 90 Peabody freshmen going into Essex Tech for the upcoming school year. We also talked about the impact that that has on the school department budget, since there were fewer kids going to Essex Tech, and Dr. Vidala reported that the current 8th grade class rising to the 9th grade class is the smallest in the city and doesn't anticipate any financial impact by having fewer students going to Essex Tech. At the last council meeting, Councilor Welton raised an issue regarding signage at Peabody Veterans Memorial High School. That was raised at our ad hoc subcommittee meeting, and Dr. Vidala indicated that he would contact Jim Politano to address the issue and provide us with a cost for replacing or repairing signs as needed. In addition to that, the conversation went into the proposed new high school, and that process, Dr. Vidala informed us, along with School Committee Woman Dunn, who chairs the school building committee for the high school project, that the hope is that Peabody would keep the field house and auditorium as currently exists at Peabody Veterans Memorial High School, with renovations to those two areas of the campus, but they'll know more about that after a feasibility study is performed. And that was the extent of the meeting. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to speak briefly on the combination of both of these receipts, but move to receive 8C.
You heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? Councilor Turco.
And also move to receive late 1. I have no idea why Dr. Vidala had decided that he was going to send a response in item 8C to my comments about the After Dark program, which I stand by. But what bothered me most about the response was in that response, Dr. Vidala said he wanted to correct some misinformation that was shared. So, with that, I'll say if you look at the dates that Dr. Vidala mentions his robust communication on July 20th, 2021 about the cutting the program, you'll see in late 1, the article about cutting the program took place weeks before that. So, it's great that people can try to manipulate dates and times, and we can go back and forth on it, but that's the last thing I'll say about it. But thank you so much.
That was a motion to receive late 1. All in favor? Any opposed? To vote? Thank you, Councilor Turco. Councilor Manning Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Motion under suspension of the rules to receive items 8D and 8E, both pertaining to the 258 Newbury Street billboard monopole that I brought up at our last meeting. And I wanted to thank Kurt Bellavance and the building commissioner, Tom St. Pierre, as well as the city solicitor's office for moving so quickly and addressing that concern. It was about a billboard that has not been in use for several years. So they researched it, sent a letter to the new owner, and told them that they were required to transfer the special permit from the old owner, and if they do not do that, they must remove the structure per our ordinances. So I really wanted to thank them for their quick action on my request to look into that. So moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? To vote. Councilor Ann Manning Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And lastly, I'd like to refer, I think, to the planning board, and just the planning board for now, the matter of IA data centers. I'd like to know the planning board's opinion and recommendation with respect to our zoning as it is now, where they should go, could go, should not go, and I really want the planning board's opinion on data centers in Peabody at all. So I really want their opinion. So moved. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
You heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? To vote. Councilor Manning Martin.
That is all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Councilor Hockman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I may, with the courtesy of my fellow councilors, I forgot to make a motion while it was my turn. So if I may, I'd like to make a motion to ask the mayor to provide the council on or before our next meeting with the exact payment that PMLP has made in lieu of taxes for the 2025-2026 fiscal year. So moved. Last year's.
Any comments on the motion? All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councillor Hockman.
Thank you for the courtesy.
Councillor Turco.
Since Councilor Hockman got in there, I also forgot to make a motion. Could I just briefly, and I apologize, I wanted to make it, we received the salaries of each and every city employee in our packets, but what we don't have is the salaries of each and every school employee. So I'd like to make a motion to get the salaries for all school employees on the payroll, currently on the payroll. And you can make that motion to the mayor, Mr. Gingrich, Mr. Rippon, and Dr. Badala. And if we could have that, I don't see it being a big deal to have that by Tuesday's meeting, you know, being that it's likely a print. So,
Councillor Ladoff.
I have a question through the chair to Mr. Turco. Would it be of any value if in that, like, information of the salaries, if there was a column possibly there for the Massachusetts, like, average for that position, to see if that salary that's being proposed is within, like, above or below the mass average?
yeah, with that, I won't put a time frame on it as long as we, because that's a little bit more extensive work. So, yes, I'll go with that motion, as long as we have it before the school committee budget hearing.
Councillor Corvo.
If I may, it might be less work and more valuable if we had the DESI comparable averages instead of statewide. I don't know if what anyone thinks of that. The DESI comparable school districts instead of statewide, because I think it's only 5 or 6 communities versus 351. If people are amenable to that suggestion in lieu of statewide. Am I not being clear?
No, you're very clear, and I know exactly the district that you're talking about, the comparable schools in the district. Yeah.
Right.
I don't want to step on Councilor Latoff's toes if she
Only
wants,
in the interest of time.
if she wants more of that information. So
I think I was asking for more information.
I'm sorry. Through you, Mr. Chairman, I apologize for the back and forth.
Hey, Councilor Ladoff.
Through the chair to Mr. Turco, I was referencing the citywide revised salaries they were proposing to know the mass average, because I'm curious to know if we have a position that someone is well below or like over and so forth. So I was referring to that piece of paperwork, not what you were referring to.
Okay, so if with that, you can, I'll leave that motion to you when it gets there. This is just the school committee salaries. So my motion was just to receive the salaries for each and every member, employee of the school district, no matter how they're paid, but they should get a paycheck. Anybody that receives a paycheck from the Peabody Public Schools, I would like that list and what position they hold. Above and beyond that, if we could add to comparable salaries for those positions within the, I don't think it's called the DESI district. Maybe Councilor Hockman can help me with that. There's the district of comparable schools. Does that ring a bell with you? Yeah. Within the, can anybody help me with that? What the comparable school district is called?
Mr. President.
I know what you mean, Councilor. I just can't think of what the word is.
Councilor Corvo.
The DART district. Thank you very much. That solves that problem. So yes, if we could get the comparable salaries from those schools in the DART district with Peabody. So moved.
Any other comments? Councilor Rosenthal.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to Councilor Turco, it might behoove you, if you're looking at timely progression of this, you might want to separate that into 2 motions, and the only reason for my thought process is if you're looking for information about what we have in district right this second, I can pull that up pretty quickly, and you can have that, in my opinion, for next week, and I don't think that's a hard ask. When you start comparing our school district to other school districts, whether they're DART or whether they're DESI, there's still going to be terminology changes, and they might be it might be a more difficult process to say, well, the assistant superintendent of curriculum is different than the director of curriculum in another school district. There might be language differences that might make that process longer, and to your point, I want the information sooner rather than later. So in my opinion, it may be more beneficial to have two separate motions than it all combined into one. That's just my thought.
Thank you, Council. I actually do agree with you on that. I was reluctant only because of the time. So you know what I'll do? I'll rescind my original motion. So I'll change the motion to two individual motions. The first motion is to receive the payroll for the school district along with positions and salaries currently in the current school year. And send that motion, please, to Mr. Rippon, Mr. Gingrich, Mayor Bentoncourt, and Dr. Vidal, so that there's no confusion, and one of the four will get it to me. So moved on that motion.
Councilor Hockman.
Thank you. I guess I'm starting to get a little bit uncomfortable with where we're going. For public employees, their salaries are public information, so I understand that. The school teachers, paraprofessionals, specialists get paid based upon a collective bargaining agreement that's negotiated between an elected body, which is the Peabody School Committee, with the assistance of the city solicitor, currently Donald Kahn. The mayor, as chair of the school committee, participates in that negotiation. The bargaining unit, whether it's teachers in Unit A or administrators in Unit B or paraprofessionals in Unit C and so on, are also represented by professionals and attorneys who negotiate in good faith for scales of salaries based upon tenure, based upon degrees or degrees primarily, and length of service. While the information that Councilor Turco is looking for, I do agree with him that it's public, and if we want to look at it, that's fine. I just don't know to what end. And I really don't want to sit through budget meetings where we're going to criticize the school committee or the school department here in Peabody or any bargaining unit about salaries that have been negotiated. If that's the intent and the will of the finance chair or the committee of the whole, I think it's misplaced. Unlike public employees that don't negotiate with a public body, we're the public body. Unlike the school department, which negotiates with a school committee that's elected by the people of the city of Peabody. We don't get to, in my opinion, usurp the school committee's authority because we disagree with a pay scale. What we do is we get to vote on different school committee members. So, you know, I sat last year listening to the city council have discussions regarding the school budget, and I think my opinion is that some of that is valuable and worthwhile, but to go through every employee to look at their salary, you know, we don't get to dictate where the school committee spends their money. That's what their job is. They're elected to do that. And if we disagree with that, all we can do is reject their budget. We don't get to tell them how to spend it. I think that's under Mass General Law. And if that's how we're going to spend hours upon hours upon hours, I don't know that it's the best way to spend our time. But that's just my thought on this. Like I said, I don't know, other than receiving the information, which is public information, and I can accept that and understand it, but if we're going to somehow criticize what two elected bodies do, the school committee and union leadership do in terms of salary structures for employees, I just think it's inappropriate.
Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know where Councilor Hockman got this whole broad spectrum of intent or things that we were going to do. I mean, I'm sure it'll be discussion, but we did just receive a complete salary listing for every single city employee, including HR, including our legal staff, including our cops, our firemen. So I'm sorry that, this may offend or whatever, but I don't answer to you. I'll ask all the questions I want. I will spend 2.5 hours talking about the school committee payroll if I choose to. If you'd like to leave, you can do that. But that's my prerogative to discuss it, and I will discuss it. So the motion's move the question.
You all heard the motion. It's a roll call vote.
Just want to be clear.
Sorry, I skipped over the motion to move the question. That's what's on the floor. Roll call vote.
Yes.
Councilors Daigle?
Yes.
Gamache?
Again.
Yes.
Hockman?
Yes.
Turco?
Yes.
Manning Martin?
Yes.
Welton?
Yes.
Rozignol?
Yep.
Ladoff?
Yes.
Corvo?
Yeah.
Peach?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Motion carries 11-0.
Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe that was the first half.
Oh, the motion's still on the floor.
Yeah, the second half of the motion was to get...
We're going to do you're going to do two motions, right?
Oh, my apologies,
Yeah,
yes.
so it's now on the,
again, the
motion
motion's
that's on the floor.
Yep.
It's a roll call vote.
Councilors Daigle?
Yes.
Gamache?
Yes.
Hockman?
No.
Turco?
Yes.
Manning Martin?
Yes.
Welton?
Yes.
Rozignol?
Yes.
Ladoff?
Yes.
Corvo?
Yes.
Peach?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Motion carries 10-1.
Councilor Turco.
So the second half of the motion was to provide, sometime prior to the budget hearing, the salaries as they compare to the DOT districts within Peabody. Thank you. Correct, Councilor Corvo? Does that?
That's correct.
And that's a co-motion with Councilor Corvo.
Thank you.
Councilor Hockman.
Can we also get the descriptions of the jobs and not just the titles to make sure that we're comparing apples to apples?
Yes, I think we've asked for those in the past, so yes, we can take those too. I would love to have them, so I'll add that to the motion.
Any other comments? Seeing none, it's a roll call vote.
Councilors Daigle?
Yes.
Gamache?
Yes.
Hockman?
No.
Turco?
Yes.
Manning Martin?
Yes.
Welton?
Yes.
Rozignol?
Yes.
Ladoff?
Yes.
Corvo?
Yes.
Peach?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Motion carries 10-1.
Councilor Turco?
No further motions, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate you coming back to me.
Anytime. Councilor Welton.
We good on this side of the room? Everybody get their motions done? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 8J and schedule a public hearing. So moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Welton.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, I'm going to take item 7D. It's the proposal for senior citizen property tax work-off abatement program. I'm not sure where to send this next. I don't know if it might be going to finance next. Can I get maybe from the clerk, a decision on that?
I would suggest legal affairs.
Through you, Clerk Danforth, I think Mr. Rosenthal have some.
Thank you. Through the President, to your question, the initial proposal was sent to legal, but where it's money matters, I've already had a discussion with Councilor Peach, and just for time purposes and to expedite the process, my opinion, and Councilor Peach agrees, sending it to finance would be the most prudent matter moving forward.
Thank you for that clarification. I have a question maybe back to you, Councilor Rosenthal or Councilor Peach or anybody who can answer it. Will we have an opportunity to weigh in on any of the terms outlined in the narrative of this request, or are we, yes?
100%.
Through finance?
Correct.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks for clarifying that. And then just for public, this is for a tax work-off abatement program. This round is particularly for seniors and veterans. I think it's a great move. It's a great first step. I know we haven't even implemented it yet, but I'd love to expand it. But I look forward to further discussion that. So the request is to receive item 7D and refer to finance. So moved.
Any further comments? Seeing none? You heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Welton.
Great. Thanks, Mr. President. I'd also like to request the Department of Public Services to repair a guardrail at the end of Summit and Centennial. So moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Welton.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd also like to request Department of Public Services to repair a down street sign on the corner of Troy and Fairview. So moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Welton.
No further motions. I wanted to make a statement. On May 23rd, Boston firefighter Robert Kilduff Jr. Tragically lost his life fighting a fire. I know this particular profession is unlike many others, and just wanted to send our condolences to our local firemen and firemen and firewomen, firefighters across the Commonwealth, and share in their condolences with the passing of firefighter Robert Kilduff. No further motions. Thank you.
Councilor Welton, due to the acoustics, could you clarify the street sign location that you'd like to see repaired?
Yes, Troy and Fairview. So move.
And also, what kind of street sign are we talking about?
I believe it's a stop sign. It may be a wayfinding sign. On the walk up to the meeting, I just heard from a resident that the street sign was down, so I can't tell you. I can confirm and follow up with the clerk tomorrow if it's a street sign or a wayfinding sign. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Rossignol.
Thank you, Mr. President. No motions, orders, or resolutions this evening. Thank you.
Councilor Ladoff.
I wanted to make a motion to, prior to the budget, if it was possible, to receive a list of debt services of what those items are and what the project was and the completion. This being that some of us are new to council and don't know what those things are, I thought it would be very helpful as we head into budget season. So moved.
Any comments on the motion? And you're going to refer that to
Finance.
Director of Finance.
And I
Okay,
have.
you heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Ladoff.
Okay, I wanted to share some wonderful news that we have some recipients of the Ward 2 scholarship. I just wanted to congratulate them. We have Vivian Hortez from Peabody Veteran Memorial High School, who's headed to Salem State. We have Ethan Waybrett, who from Peabody Veteran Memorial High School, who's also headed to Salem State. I decided to, we have Ward 2 scholarships that come from a Ward 2 fund that was set up prior to me, and those two people are from that fund, and I decided to add a third from myself, Amaya Lugo, who is heading to nursing school. So we have 3 recipients in Ward 2 for some scholarships as they graduate and head on to the next step. That's all I have. Thank you so much.
That's excellent news. Councilor Corvo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have 2 motions tonight, and at the risk of further complicating the situation, I'd like to make a motion to receive, possibly, if we could by Tuesday, an org chart of the schools. I suppose we don't need the job description since that motion was already made, but I think an org chart with vacancies would be helpful. So moved.
And who are you sending that motion to?
I'm sorry, I'll send it to Superintendent. Yeah, thank you.
Any comments on the motion? Seeing none? All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Corvo.
Thank you. One more motion. I would like to request also a copy of every single triple net lease that the city is engaged in. I did make a FOIA request for this about a month and a half ago and was notified that the request was not fulfilled. And I was told that the appropriate department is Public Works. I don't know if that's accurate or not. So moved. Excuse me, facilities.
Any comments on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councillor Corvo.
No further motions, orders, or resolutions tonight. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Councillor Peach.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive items 7A, B, C, and F, and refer to finance. So moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councillor Peach.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive late 2, late 4, and we already received late 5. So late 2 and late 4. So moved. And refer to finance.
You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councillor Peach.
Thank you, Mr. President. To the councilors, any budget items that you've received tonight or any other night, please don't throw them away. We received the electronic copy of this, but on our desks tonight, we have the binded printed copy of the city side budget. And late 5 is the school budget and their presentation. So please do not get rid of that. We do have a finance meeting and a special city council meeting on Tuesday, June 2nd. And the purpose of that is to discuss the trash fee and the water and sewer rates. I'm going to allow public comment at that hearing. So anyone watching that would like to participate in person here at the Wigan or on Zoom, please do so. That's Tuesday, June 6th at 6 o'clock, or June 2nd at 6 o'clock. And as a reminder to the councilors, our first budget meeting is on the 16th, and we have reserved the 16th, the 18th, and then was it the 23rd and the 25th if needed. So please make sure you're available then. I do have one other motion for Ward 3. Move to remove 23 Buxton Street from Section 19-81, which is the handicapped restricted parking. So moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councillor Peach.
No further motions.
Thank you. I don't have any motions for this evening, but in Ward 6, I feel the sentiments of everyone about our fallen firefighter that passed recently, but Ward 6 had a fire on Butternut Ave, and our firemen responded quickly, did an admirable job. It became a 2-alarm fire, and those folks took care of it and prevented any harm and injury to folks. Just really proud of our fire department, and I just wanted to give them a shout out for that. Having said that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. You heard the motion. We're adjourned.